All right. And we're recording. All right. How's it going, Miles?
Could be better. No, just kidding. Yeah, it's always good, man. It's always good when I tell that to people. I'm
Yeah.
not sure if they believe me or not, but in my eye, I'm always doing well.
Yeah.
Always doing well. I can't. It is true what they say after you go through a tragic life experience, you just gotta make sure everything's good all the time. Yeah.
All right. So, tell me first. Tell me about yourself, Miles. Um, where did you grow up, and where did you get your education, and why come back to Shonto and teach?
That's a very easy answer, question to answer, but at the same time, it's pretty tough. So I would say I grew up in Napa Mountain, Tall Mountain, Shonto. I think those are the three communities that I grew up at. Tall Mountain is like Payette Mesa as an extension of Tall Mountain. That's how I see it. So it's like a whole new world. But those three areas is where I grew up. I grew up with a lot of different families, just growing up. Just families in Napa Mountain. Then there's a canyon, Paiute Canyon, and then there's Paiute Mesa with my family, and then there's Shonto and Tall Mountain with different families. I've been just it was nice to grow up in those family areas just to learn a lot about life, a lot about, I don't know, just living, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
a lot about doing something for yourself, I think. That's what you learn because you get to see different family structures, I think. You don't know it until you grow older, I think, when you start thinking about it. And then you kind of think back and say, wow, that was this kind of family structure that it taught me this. So I think that's it. And then I went to school here at Shonto for the majority of my years. I mean, I went to school at Napa Mountain also when the school was like brand new. I was one of the first at Napa Mountain, the school.
Yeah.
I was one of the first classes, K6. I think I was in fourth grade. I think it was.
Back in the day.
Yeah, that's the first time. Like all the years before that, I don't know, I was never into school until fourth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. So, and I also went to that old Napa Mountain boarding school. I don't know how many more years after I left. I don't know how many more years it was open. Maybe one, maybe two, maybe. I don't know if you ever seen it. Have you ever
No.
been to Napa Mountain chapter?
I've only gone a couple times, but mostly for family purposes. Never haven't really gone to.
So what's up with this roaming the rest? Is that just a
See, that's me learning. That's me traveling. I didn't do a lot of traveling when I was younger. If I did do traveling, I was one of those kids that would sleep in the car and then wake up at our destination. And,
Yeah,
yeah, that's who.
but
That's
if
who.
you ever go to Napa Mountain
Yeah.
chapter, like right right before you get there on the hill,
Hmm.
the old Napa Mountain boarding school, and I think I might have been the last second class to be there
Yeah.
because I think after like it was just K first. So when I left first grade, I came here to Shonto for second grade, but maybe there was another one more year because like I was maybe two more years because third grade, second and third, I stayed here, and then fourth grade was brand new school.
Uh-huh.
So I went to the brand new school, and then they closed that old school down. So I think it was two more years after me then. But I went to school here,
Yeah.
and when I went to school here in the elementary years, boy, it was a big school. You just came into a whole new world, whole new, I
How
don't
did
know, a whole new set of,
when you came here to
yeah,
Shanta?
it was
I
huge.
know when I would talk with Mr. Mooring back when I
Yeah,
worked at school, he would talk about how, back in the day, Shanta was one of the top teams. Like y'all
yeah,
would run and gun over even other schools like Tuba
yeah.
and stuff like that. Um, But then he said then the dorms were full, and
Oh,
'cause,
heck
yeah,
yes.
you had kids from like every community, surrounding community.
My theory is Shonto was good because of Napa Mountain kids like me. It's true
Yeah.
because when Napa Mountain opened up 7th and 8th,
Uh,
because they were K6 for a while, like 10 years or
Yeah.
8 years or something. Then all of a sudden they were 7, 8. So a lot of the kids that came from Napa Mountain to come to school here went back to Napa Mountain, and that was Mr. Mooring's argument.
Yeah.
Mr. Mooring used to say, ever since we lost those Napa Mountain kids, because they opened up 7th and 8th, we kind of went down because we didn't get the feeder.
Yeah. Well.
Like the feeder kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we came in as 7th graders, there was myself. There were 6 of us that came in that were a really good basketball team at Napa Mountain, and we beat Shonto in their JV team as 6th graders. So when we came here, I remember Johnny Bronston. He was happy that we came because in addition to what he had, 6 more players that could play came in.
Yeah.
So it just boosted up like the atmosphere. So Johnny used to say, man, it's always nice to get a new crew from Navajo Mountain every year. But once 7th and 8th open, he goes, there's no more. You can't. He goes, ever since that happened, you had to grow your own. That was Johnny's deal, Johnny, and some other people who coached here. Like, you have to grow your own. So part of it was that, I think, because altogether there was 17 of us new students that came to Shonto in 7th grade. That's a big.
Yeah, that's big for
the
communities around here.
I mean, 17 students to come into Shonto to boost up the enrollment. So
Yeah.
every year it was like that until Napa Mountain opened their own system. So then from here I went to Black High, and then I went to Adams State College. I just don't know why I chose Adams State. I don't know, because I was accepted to so many different schools. Probably just because, I don't know. My mom said go to school, do what you can, but like ASU, Stanford, a lot of these schools that I really, really wanted to go to. I was a Duke fan when I was growing up too, so I applied to Duke and I was accepted. Very few people get accepted to Duke. So, and I wanted to go to University of Colorado. I got accepted there. ASU, NAU, Adams State, and Oklahoma University was one of the ones I wanted to go to school there too, because in high school, I used to hang out with my brothers, Laughter, Smith, and Dwight a lot. And we used to come here. Their father was like the maintenance guy here back then. So we used to watch a lot of Oklahoma football. So I applied to OU too, because I wanted to hang out there also. And then for some reason, I chose Adams State in Alamosa. Stayed there for about 3.5 years, and I graduated. Then came home. I got a job. My first ever teaching job was in the summer. Like, I was in Denver. I taught for spring, and it was horrible.
That was your first ever teaching job?
Yeah, it was horrible.
I was thought you came straight back to Shonto.
No. And, well, I spent some time there just for like after school and different things, and it's horrible.
Why math?
I don't know. That's a good question. Part of it is because I remember going to Flag High, and I knew my math. However, I was put in basics. Imagine Mr. Miles being in an arithmetic class. The only reason why I was in arithmetic was because I didn't read very well. I wasn't a good reader. I wasn't a good writer. So they equated not being good at reading and writing to not being good at math. But when I took my entrance scores, my math scores were higher than my reading and writing. But they just put me in the basics because I think that was just a norm. And the teacher that I had in middle school used to be wild. His name was Dennis Williams. He was pretty wild, but I really got to I don't know, I just really got to know him
Mm.
in seventh and eighth,
Yeah.
and he opened a lot of different things in mathematically, even though we were still doing basic skills, but we did a lot of different things, and I think that's when I knew like I wanted better.
Yeah.
So all through high school, when I was a junior in high school, I said I think I'll be a math teacher because I was pretty good at tutoring. I
Yeah.
was pretty good at just teaching things to my peers. So I think that's why I chose math. And in high school to catch up, I think my sophomore year I took because there was arithmetic and then you would take pre-algebra and then algebra 1 and then you take geometry, algebra 2, trig, and then pre-calc.
Uh-huh.
That was the traditional path. So when I took arithmetic, the next year I took pre-algebra and algebra 1. And halfway through the year, the pre-algebra teacher booted me out and said, you don't belong in here, take algebra 1. So I finished my algebra 1.
Uh-huh.
Junior year, I was still behind. So I took geometry and advanced algebra together.
Huh.
And teachers were like, no, that's not possible. So I can do it. So I did. Aced both classes. And then my senior year, I finally took trig with pre-calc. And the teachers, well, when my senior year, I kind of woke up like the culture,
Yeah.
just thinking about being native as opposed to being Mexican American, being African American, and being white American,
Uh-huh.
being whatever, and Asian American. Like, took me 4 years to realize, like my eyes opened, and like we're treated differently.
Yeah.
Even in the school system, people are treated differently, like subtle differences or indirectly.
Uh-huh.
They don't really like tell you in your face. It's more like, here's a schedule. This will fit you because you're brown or because you came from the res.
Huh.
So, but very few kids fought through that. Like very, very few fought through that stereotype, like by doubling up on classes. Very few. The only other person I knew was she was a year behind me, and she really liked reading and writing, so she wanted to take AP courses, but she couldn't because she was in basic reading and writing her freshman year. So sophomore year, she had to double up, and then finally her junior year. Because for me, I guess back then you couldn't take honors or AP until you were junior or senior. That was it.
Yeah.
So I had to really, really fight to get into AP because I wanted to know like how, I don't know, I just wanted to test myself.
Yeah.
So I took honors courses aside from the basic. And everybody always thought that I was like the nerd, but I was never treated like one just because
Mhm.
it was interesting how when you took those honors courses, there were a lot of athletes in those classes. That was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here nowadays, that's our
Yeah.
time for our kids.
Yes, it's different now. Yes. So when I was in that class, it felt comfortable just because it was those people who I ran cross country with, who I played basketball with, who I got to know through different sports,
Yeah.
because sports assemblies or whatever,
Yeah.
they were in those classes. It was amazing. So we were just competitive
Yeah.
automatically. So that's interesting. Now it's different. You don't see very many athletes in the AP honors courses. Very few. I don't know. I don't know about you. You're
Yeah.
still many years behind me.
It's a whole lifetime. For me, it's kind of sort of the same. I know, like for me, school was super easy. Like when it came to like reading, writing, and math, I think I just got to this point where I was super lazy,
Mhm.
really, because everything, and I was a really bad procrastinator. I was really good, but I was really bad. And then I remember like when we took our entrance whatever to even at Gray Hills,
Yeah.
I got put in the higher classes with
It was all because of me. I remember you.
yeah.
You worked so hard in seventh and eighth. So what happened?
Well, really, realistically, what was interesting, all the people that I came with from Shonto to Gray Hills, a lot of us were in the same class, the same upper math class.
Because those were my students.
Probably.
It's still like that. You know that?
Yeah. I saw when I was talking with one of our students that goes to Page.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said it's the same thing. You hardly see any of our students in
Intermediate.
intermediate
basic
math.
skills. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So this is what I was thinking, and so when I went to college, I was like, I'll be a math teacher. I think I can do something there
Mhm.
because I love philosophy and history.
Yeah.
Like, and then like through college, I noticed that a lot of us math nerds and science nerds, there was different groups, like people who just really loved it.
Hmm.
The common thread between all of us was philosophy. I went to research, and they're like, philosophers back in the day were mathematicians. When like Greek,
Uh-huh.
like Pythagoras, a philosopher and mathematician.
Yeah.
Socrates was also a mathematician. Like he wasn't known for it, but he was. I
Hmm.
mean, like a lot of these, I'm like, wow.
Huh.
I don't know how that happens, but I really like philosophy and history.
Yeah. Well, I think for those sort of the same thing with college for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like you already know I don't drink or smoke, but I wasted a lot of my time in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
and I was so lean. Well, the college courses were so lenient that
Mm-hmm.
I would miss class, and my buddy would text me like, "Hey, dude, we have a test next week on Thursday,
Mhm.
or we have a test that's coming Thursday on this chapter." So I'll be all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I would miss Tuesday. I would Wednesday I would read up on the chapter, and then Thursday I would show up to class, take the test, and split as soon as I was done. And I ended up passing with a C. Part of the grade was like attendance and just things like that. But I think I really wanted to get into teaching math because I did the same thing. I tutored a lot of my dorm mates for free.
Yeah.
People charge, but for me it was just because they were there, and I just happened to be there. If I wasn't playing games, I was tutoring
Mhm.
somebody. But yeah, I don't know.
It's an interesting combination: philosophy, history plus math. So when I graduated, it was a funny thing because you always hear about people, like people your generation will always hear about their aunts, uncles,
Mhm.
grandpas saying, I used to hitchhike. I used to hitchhike or walk to college in AU or Dene College back in the day. They would talk about those.
Yeah.
And I used to do that in college. Like my first every year, I got really pushed by one of my sisters from Paiute Mesa. She was one of our first ones to graduate college,
Yeah.
from our little community in Paiute Mesa.
Yeah.
Her name was Anime, and she was really enthusiastic. I guess it only takes one person.
Uh-huh.
She would be like, "It's in Jonah, good, do it. We're right here. If you need a ride to school, we'll take you." So she did.
Yeah.
All the way to Alamosa, and she did take me. First, she dropped me off, and she goes, "You're on your own."
Yeah. I always like hearing about the culture shock between, coming from such a small community to coming from such a small community to even a place like Flag. Like,
I think that was more of a culture shock to me was coming from Napa Mountain to Shonto.
oh, really? Rather than from the res to like the city,
Mm-mm.
then to how? What? How? Okay, tell me about that. Tell me why not.
Because, like I said, I went to that old school, and those kids we grew up preschool, kindergarten, first grade.
Uh-huh.
We knew each other. And there's only a few of us, and we knew everybody. There was just a few group. There's only 16 of us or something.
Yeah.
And we knew whose parents and whose parents it was. When we came to Shonto, you go to the old dorm here, dorm 2. You go in as a third grader. You walk in, and one wing full of, let's say, 60 boys are all third graders.
Yeah.
And your mind is blown because you're like, and these kids had shoes, they had gadgets that you wouldn't like the up-to-date gadgets that we didn't have out there. So it
Hmm.
was a culture like, wow, I didn't know that was possible. I like for me in my brain, I was just like, wow, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
wow, okay. Like TV. These kids knew their TV shows. They knew like everything. They knew everything about Bear's Den. They knew everything about school dances. They
Uh-huh.
like as third graders, they knew a lot. I'm like, for me, I'm like, I don't know. I really I don't know. So I think that's part of the system. Like and then when I went to Flag, it was mainly just skin color. I
Really?
had to get used to skin color because when you're here, everybody's brown. Very
Yeah.
very few like other nationalities, other
Uh-huh.
races. But when you went to Flag, it was just skin color. I'm like I had to get used to just seeing different
Uh-huh.
colored people, and that was all I had to get used to. But I imagine a lot of my classmates had culture shock because they couldn't handle
Uh-huh.
the different attitudes.
You used to teach, well, you taught in a couple places, right? The last place I remember you teaching besides Shonto was down at
Gila crossing.
Gila Crossing. Did you coach down there too?
Yeah.
So what about that? Is there a culture difference between the
Oh heck
mentality?
yes.
Yeah. Okay, what's the environment like in Gila Crossing? Is it metropolitan or is it like rural like here?
It's like it's a reservation, but it's more. It's almost it is attached to the city.
Okay, so is it kind of like,
The reservation is attached to the city, but it's you could still say that it feels like being on a res.
was it closer, the culture and atmosphere, was it closer to like Tuba City, Winter
No,
Rock? Or,
it was its own res.
well, yeah, but like what I'm
Like
saying,
being
like,
in Shonto.
huh,
It felt like just being in Shonto where it felt like you were far away from the city.
really?
Yeah, it was
Hmm.
really weird, even though like you would drive 5 minutes and the city line's right there. Like the Metropolitan was building in and it was right there.
Huh.
Yeah, it was, but there was a huge difference in the staff was amazing, just like here, but it's like the teachers were amazing, like here and there. But the
Yeah.
student behavior was different. It was more tough to work there.
The how about as far as coaching? Because I know with Shantu you came from, I wouldn't say you came from a winning culture, but you kind of,
You have to create it.
yeah. With Gila Crossing, did they have that? What was their mentality like as far as student athletes? Um,
The kids wanted to be good,
uh-huh.
but they didn't have the skills to be there.
Skills. So
Like
like, would you think it would be closer to things like self-discipline um, or do you think there was a, because I know like one of the problems here when it comes to the development of students is for me it was student or the relationship with the student's parents. Other than that, when it's just like one-on-one with the kid, you're in a closed off gym and things like
over there
that.
was more of
All they
just
do,
kids and the coach,
just kids and the coach,
or really hardly any parents.
really.
Yep.
And so,
So the kid, like I said, the kid wanted to learn,
yeah,
but there was really nobody behind them to push them or guide them, or very few kids who were pretty good at what they do, like volleyball, basketball, baseball. Very few kids were really good at it because their parents took the time to put them in little league and spend time with them at little league
yeah,
or at the YMCA, whatever.
no,
But majority of them, they were athletic. It was just raw talent.
yeah,
But that was as far. You could coach them for those time, and then after that, they wouldn't have very much family support. If
hmm,
they wanted to go get better, they had to make themselves go to YMC, but then there's really nobody to take them. So and over there, the community is so it's not like here where it's spread out. Over there it was so close that if you see a child walking from their home to the YMCA, it's a little bit more dangerous.
really,
Yeah, so that's what I found that I never knew that until my first year. I had a eye-opening experience, but otherwise, it was just like the kid. if they were walking to the gym, it was very, very unsafe.
Really?
Yep. So
Wow.
like you could see someone walking from NHA here to the gym on their own and make it and go home, and you know that they're like okay.
Yeah.
But over there, it was like you had to worry about them and make sure you call home or call the YMCA, make sure they made it there because
God.
there were so many things in between that could happen.
So it was closer to like, I hate to say ghetto, but in a sense that it's how
Yeah, there were like, I mean, being close to the city, you're close to all kinds of traffic.
yeah.
That's why. This traffic was crazy of different sorts.
Uh-huh.
There was business traffic, there was drug traffic, there was all kinds of traffic that just went through the communities. So it was like you had to make sure if you see a kid walking on the street, yeah, like I want to make sure that they crossed the road and made it to that building.
Uh-huh. How many years did you teach there?
2 years.
2 years. Oh, so
2
like
years.
even that, like
Yes,
to,
it was.
like to build a winning
But-
culture or a positive culture,
Yeah,
it would take like way
but
more.
the crew I came in with, there was a crew of us. As teachers, we came in at the same time. And I think we did. I think we impacted those students positively
Yeah.
because I remember athletics, we won a lot of championships.
Mhm.
Academically, we were improving by leaps and bounds because I remember coming from Shonto, it was just expected,
Yeah.
like for my students to score high. It was just like norm for majority of our kids to do well on those state assessments or local whatever.
Yeah.
When I got there, it was hard because looking at the Ames test, that was the Ames test back then. I think it was, yeah.
Mhm.
They barely had like 10% passing rate. And over here, I came from 60, 70% passing.
Uh-huh.
So when we came in, we had a lot of work to do, and we worked with the teachers who were already there.
Yeah.
They were really, really awesome teachers. Every single one of them that I worked with were pretty amazing. The first year we got settled in, we just had to work with a lot of different social issues and all of that. And the second year, I think I worked there 2.5 years. The second year, I became math coach, and we literally worked hard.
Do
And,
you
and the teachers who I assigned and
Uh-huh.
helped to do math tutoring or math interval, whatever it is,
yeah.
holy cow, we saw. I mean, there was a teacher there. He taught 8th grade math for so many years. He's an in-law. He's white, but he's an in-law to the community.
Yeah.
So he's been there for a long, long, long time. His name is Scott, and he's been there for a long time teaching. And he goes, my scores are at 13%, never, hardly ever goes up unless I have a cohort that does well. Naturally, they'll go up, but otherwise it stays the same. So then all of a sudden, the second year we took the spring assessments, and then we came back, and everybody's cheering, and they're like, "Thank goodness, Mr. Miles, you really worked with this lady Heather and improved our scores." And I was like, "What happened?" And imagine a group of teachers celebrating 33% meets.
Damn.
And it was so good. And this teacher goes, holy crap, you made us work so hard, but it paid off. It looks right. Our kids actually did something on the test. So we had like third, fourth, like third all the way to eighth.
Uh-huh.
Went from 15% to 30, 35, 40% meets.
Yeah.
And they were just like shocked, and they were happy. But so then we started off, and we really started off positively because people looked up to me. They're like, what do we do next? What do we do? What kind of training do we do? I'm looking around like, what are you looking at me? We have a curriculum director. We have my boss over there. And they kept coming to me. So like they say, it takes just one person to sink the ship. So yeah, and it was just crazy.
So did you have to, because of the culture difference, did you have to switch up the way you taught, or did you teach the same way you taught here or down there?
The same way.
Same way, the same,
But
straightforward.
It was, like I said, it was mostly discipline,
Uh-huh.
behavior.
Huh.
changing the behavior of the kids of, I'm going to try this one and I give up. I'm going to get mad. I'm going to throw a tantrum.
Yeah.
So that first year was just to work with that. And it worked. The second year, they were mentally tough, mentally
Yeah.
ready.
Yeah.
The third year, they were just mentally ready to take on the challenge. I don't think I left that. December, I left. Just because of toxic leadership.
Really?
After I left, more things went down. I thought it was just happening to me. But I guess other staff were being attacked. So when I left, that spring, there were lawsuits.
What?
Yeah, and I was like, and everybody's like, Mr. Miles, why didn't you sue the school? Because I have a heart.
Uh-huh.
I want students to succeed. I want students to try their best. I'm here for students. I'm not here for what happens. But when it's affected me negatively, I said, I'll just leave, because if I'm negatively impacted, guess what? The students are going to be falling on the short end of that whole thing. So I said, I'll just leave. So I left.
And then you came back to Shonto, or would you go to Tuba?
I came back here.
I know. And then, what about Tuba City? Was there, even though it was within the same state, same reservation, was there a culture difference, or were the kids exactly the same to you?
The kids were the same, but it was just the culture of the school.
Really? How so?
Over there in Tuba, it was more really academically driven.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if, like, you're given a book and the kids know you do lesson 1 on Monday and you keep going until you finish the chapter and you take a test.
Uh-huh.
The kids were trained, because I taught 8th grade. They knew what to do.
Yeah.
That was the weirdest thing that I've ever experienced.
It was just
anytime you stray away from the book to do something in between for 2 days, the kids would be lost, because they were like, Mr. Miles, are we doing the next lesson? I want to do the next lesson. I'm ready.
Yeah.
And I was like, don't you get that what we studied here? Don't you want to see what it feels like, what it looks like when you mess around with science? Because I taught science at Tibble boarding.
Oh, I see.
And don't you want to see it?
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we want to go to the next lesson. The really top bright kids, I guess you could say, would say, can we move to the next lesson? I'm ready to go to the next chapter. What do we do? What do we read? What do we answer? I'm like, no. I said no. So there was that difference. It was just that.
I know, like with when we would work here at the school, or when I worked with you, I know that it was pretty cool seeing, just taking a break from the book and then seeing the even if it was math, the labs, like the application.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I saw a lot of challenges in our kids, was as far as application. Doing the book was one thing, but when you asked them to apply it, it was like almost a whole new language for them. The coolest lab, I think, that stuck out to me was when we were working with volume. Yeah, and then we had to have the kids, instead of teaching them,
it was, how do you get the volume of a cylinder? Was it
well, not a cylinder, it was a
pyramid.
There was a sphere and I think the pyramid. Yeah. And then when we started breaking down the differences in the formula, because with the sphere that they had to learn that this was going to be 1/3 of this volume, or things like that, or 2/3. Yeah. And it was cool showing them the using sand,
water, and everything.
Yeah, and then they realized like this is proportionate to this at this rate. And it was cool seeing the application side of it.
See, that's the thing that was shocked to me, was that application. The kids there just wanted to move on because they were trained. Imagine going through it like that ever since you were in kindergarten, and you're in 8th grade now. Yeah, it's a lot of training. So that's why nowadays a lot of the teachers around here, like Mr. Bizzardi, that's how we got to know each other, was through math and basketball.
Yeah.
And he would be like, I love teaching Shonto students. I said, why? He was like, they naturally take things apart. They naturally explore about mathematics. They naturally, like, when you give them a problem, they'll solve it and they'll ask you, I got it, but why does it work? They'll ask you, why does it work?
Yeah.
Whereas others kids, they want to go through a rudimentary routine to get there.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Shonto kids, it's like boom, 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 and they're like, I got it. And you're like, how did you get it? And they're like, okay, I did this, and there you go.
Yeah.
And he was like, that's why I really enjoy getting Shonto kids, because they're not stuck in a, what do you call it, tunnel? Maybe
Yeah.
like a tunnel vision, huh?
Yeah.
So that's what he really liked when he was working at Great Hills, is like, if I teach Algebra 1, my job was to get all the Shonto kids.
I know, like, even some, like, one of the things I saw when we were teaching 8th grade, seeing some of the students come in,
Yeah,
the students that came in from other schools,
yeah,
you would ask them as they're doing their assignment, okay, why? And then when you ask them why, they look at you with this, like,
I'm,
scared face because they think that they got the question wrong. And then you
and
have
what
to,
do they do with their pencil?
yeah, then you reassure them, like, no, just tell me why. I'm not going to tell you right or wrong. Just
Yep.
tell me why. And then they think that they're wrong because you're questioning what they're doing. And so I guess I could see what
Do
you're
you remember this one kid who came in? Really intelligent. Remember, he was really, really, really like genius.
talking
He
about.
did his work. You remember him?
Yeah, I remember.
He did his work, and I was like, why did you do this? And what did he say? Remember, he goes, they're right, Mr. Miles, they're right.
Yeah.
I'm like, I didn't ask you if they're right or wrong, mister. I said, what did I say? I said, why did you do these like this? And remember, he kept saying, they're right.
Yeah.
They're right.
Yeah.
You can't tell me I'm wrong. And then I was like, okay, I'll come back. And then when I come back, you're going to tell me why. And he didn't. And he got blown away because a lot of kids in his class were like, Mr. Miles is like this because this is what I think.
Uh-huh.
Everybody else was chiming in. He just sat there looking at it, like looking at the students talking.
Yeah.
And I went back to him and said, so why? Why did you do it like this? Can you tell me? Because remember, you and I, we knew it was wrong.
With that.
Yes,
Yeah.
the way he did it was like his answer was totally wrong, and we were asking him, why did you do it like that?
Yeah.
We want to know. And as the kids started asking questions and answering and explaining what they were thinking,
Mm.
what did he do with his pencil? He erased the whole work he did,
Yeah.
and he redid it. And
Well, I think with him, he was taking the shortcuts,
Uh-huh.
whereas like our students
Yeah.
typically they do every single step that
Yeah.
we would
no,
make them
but the
do.
numbers he was circling
Yeah.
were different than the entire class's number.
Yeah.
That's when he freaked out. And then remember, you told him, write the steps so
Yeah.
you know what your final result is. And then, but he kept saying, it's right. I
Yeah.
know it's right. So that's a difference, I think, when you actually dive into the teaching of mathematics. Because
Uh-huh.
you know how long you've been doing it? 25 years.
Yeah.
It's a long time. So I still need a child prodigy to come back and take my place. And you're staring at me.
Well, that was the original plan. Is I didn't want to.
It's still a plan.
It's well, yeah, technically still is. Like I still want to go back and teach up here.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of good teachers that, like a group of 40 students.
Dude, our class was badass. Our class, our 8th grade class was like seeing some of the kids I went to school with and what they're doing now, dude. I'm gonna brag. My class is kicking ass, dude.
They're all the same.
No, don't even give me that, dude. I could name some classes before us and after us. You could. Oh,
No,
man. Yeah,
they're doing
good. Not all of them. Not all of them.
There's only one class that I remember. But other than that, they're all the same.
No,
Good.
dude, our class is badass.
They're good.
Oh yeah.
Just talking to all of them, they're doing pretty good as a whole. Like as a whole group of kids that came through,
Yeah.
all the classes are doing well except for one that I know of that they're not. I'm teaching their kids right now, and I don't see them. So
Yeah.
it's that's that group that have kids right now that I'm teaching some of them,
Yeah.
and it's interesting. It's really 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 interesting.
Do you see it? Do you see some of the habits? Because you've been teaching long enough to, like you said, to teach some of your students' kids, right?
Mhm.
Do you see some of the habits that those kids had in their kids?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So do you
it's
think?
more of like um, the parents that I taught when I first came, and now they have kids coming through.
Yeah.
I'm only going to tell you this once. You're going to have Mr. Miles, and there's no way around it. And if you don't listen to me, there is Mr. Miles.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all they tell their kids. So when they come through, they literally like, they don't know what to expect, but their laziness
Uh-huh.
is done with in like 3 weeks.
Cool.
They're done with their attitude. They're done with, and their parents that I taught, they'll be coming back for a parent conference, and they're like, the first 2 weeks he was trying to pull this, but after that, Mr. Miles, right? We already told them.
I think one of the coolest things I saw, especially back in the classroom, was the fact that most teachers had this be quiet, stop talking, stop
No.
talking. And so the troublemakers, the kids, they fed off of that. Like
Yeah.
they love to be loud and they love to disobey basically, or not disobey, I hate saying that in classroom, but they love to be, the shit kid. But when it came to your class, talking was expected.
Yeah.
And it was those same kids who would sit there with this, that blank face, like when you would ask them to participate, talk, want to hear you
Yeah.
talk. And so that was the coolest difference I saw in your class, was that you encouraged talking, and whereas a lot of teachers, it was stop talking, be quiet, this and that. And then, like I said, it was the same kids who were just had this blank stare, those
Yeah.
same naughty kids.
Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons why, you know what? Tell you the truth, 25 years. The only thing I had to write something like write up a kid for was one. Was that tobacco? That was it.
Yeah.
One year I had 2 kids come on the bus intoxicated. I wrote that up. That was
In
it.
8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Drunk in 8th grade.
Yeah, way when I first came.
Oh my God.
And then possession of marijuana.
Uh-huh.
And then that was like it, and then fist fight. I saw a fight and I just wrote them up but that was it. I never had to write anybody up.
I think that was the biggest culture shock to me with going to school at Shonto because the community is so small. Like even as a student, you can kind of point out which kids come from which families,
Yeah.
to your friends. But the biggest culture shock to me was even just going to a place like Gray Hills. I
Yeah.
didn't know kids drank
Yeah.
or smoked.
Yep.
Like I saw my classmates in high school snorting cocaine in the locker room,
Yeah.
and when I seen that shit, I freaked out, dude. Like I thought cocaine was something you only saw in like the
Mhm.
big cities and stuff like that, and then to hear from some of my classmates that like, oh, I had to deal with my sister. She was high on meth last
Yeah.
night, and hearing those stories, dude, I freaked the
Yeah.
heck out.
It's
But
funny that you mentioned that because we always get the tail end of the waves
yeah,
because Shonto, like our kids and our parents are really good.
yeah,
Majority of them are really, really good.
mm,
Anything that you see out there that's like a norm or a habit or an infiltration to our communities, like meth or whatever,
yeah,
things they're happening out there. But in Shonto, it doesn't hit us until years later.
yeah,
It's the funny thing. That's why a lot of our kids, when they go to Page or Tuba or Kayenta, they get slammed and like, holy crap, did that
Yeah.
just happen?
yeah, dude. And depending on who your background is and the
Yes.
house you come from, you're either going to succumb to it, try it out,
Yep.
be an idiot, or if you're level-headed enough, you can do these things and still keep your sanity in a sense. But some kids just go crazy.
I think so, just because, I mean, you already have kids from here that are always are like daring,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell them it's good that you're daring, but the outcome, are you sure you're willing to handle it? Are
Yeah.
you sure you're willing to deal with it,
Yeah.
whatever the outcome is? And they look at you like, what do you mean? I'm like, you'll find out as you grow older. You're daring,
Uh-huh.
you're explorative, you are intelligent, you want to know what's out there.
Yeah.
Are you sure you can handle the consequences?
And see, the thing is, like, you can't tell a kid
Yes.
not to do that
Yep.
because beyond high school,
Did I
there's
ever
just gonna
tell
be
you in my
more.
class not to do drugs?
I don't remember.
See,
I feel
what did I tell you?
like, well,
I said you will experience so many things, but are you able to handle the consequences? That's what I told you, right?
I think well, yeah, but like coming from my background,
Mhm.
my uncles would tell me like, dude, if you ever come home drunk, I'm just gonna call the police and you're gonna spend the night in jail. And I'd be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So like they had this really more like a fear tactic.
Mhm.
Don't do that shit. And I think I've shared like
That's just
story-
home. That's just home life, like the way you're raised. But with schools and students,
Uh-huh.
you have so many factors,
Yeah.
like your home life, someone's home life, someone's home life. They're all bringing it to the school,
Yeah.
and it's a mesh, and it's like a. So, the only thing I tell my students is do your best, stay focused, and if you decide to do these things because
Yeah.
they're available out there,
Yeah.
drugs, alcohol, whatever,
Yeah.
you have to know the consequences. If you don't know, and if you can't see it, you'll live it.
Yeah.
A lot of my students have done it. They're like, Miles, you were right. You were right that and there are terrible consequences if you don't know how to control.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I told you. And a lot of it has to do with family.
Yeah.
Like some families will see it happening and they will literally step in and say, let's do something different. Do something different. Like then some families don't have that.
Yeah.
They'll just don't have the manpower to say "Tota," or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Choose something different. Let's do this. So it's a huge difference between, but then some people they just, I guess, carry themselves through it, even though they have a good family structure.
Yeah.
It just happens because you can't control it, like you said.
Do you think sports play a role? Well, I mean, it's kind of proven sports play a role in the development of individuals, not necessarily physically. That's a given, but
Mhm.
as far as mentally, the mental toughness that comes with sports.
I think so. Just if it depends on the coach too.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came home, I coached with Sharon Hangiva. We coached for 2 years, and we did good. Our kids did good. They had the mental toughness. They had the ability to do what they wanted to, and just be comfortable with making the choices
Yeah.
and what the consequences were, or whether it's good or bad. But
Huh.
they knew how to handle it.
Yeah.
Then I stepped away from coaching for a long time. And I didn't coach. I don't know why. I just didn't coach school sports.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't for a long time.
I thought you always coached.
I wasn't your coach, remember?
For basketball, but like, what about volleyball? You always coach volleyball, right?
I did a number of years.
Yeah.
Those girls did well. And I think it depends on you, like your philosophy. If you're coaching just to win,
Yeah.
and your students don't learn.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're coaching to really instill a lot of learning, whether you win or lose, then there's a difference.
Yeah.
So, like for me, I mean, I've worked with you a number of years. I really don't care about winning and losing.
Yeah.
It feels good to win. It doesn't feel good to lose, but still.
Uh-huh.
It was about development. It's always about developing the kid.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be a person. Remember what I tell the juniors and seniors? You're going to be an adult.
Yeah.
You're going to be working with me, for someone. in a few years after you play college ball or something. I don't know when, but you will be an employee, you will be a workforce, you will be a parent, you will be somebody.
Yeah.
So that development is the biggest part, I think. So even for teaching and coaching school sports, yes, you push kids to test their physical ability, but then at the same time, you really have to talk to them about mental toughness.
Yeah.
What, I mean, a lot of coaches don't know what mental toughness is,
Hmm.
but they think it's just letting these kids go through, like when I grew up, it was just surviving practice.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that surviving practice is mental toughness. I mean, that's part of it. Are you texting me?
No, my phone's on airplane mode.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Not really cool. Um,
But anyway, yeah, I mean, back then that was mental toughness, but it's not so much anymore.
yeah. One of the things I think I learned from Bizzardi, playing for him and then coaching against him, um, one of the biggest thing I learned from Bizzardi was winning. Like you said, winning's great, but the winning culture comes after you coached and developed the philosophical side. When
Mhm.
you teach, for us it was young men. So when you teach the young men how to be good, genuine young human beings, the sport, learning the sport comes second, and it comes after when you start developing their mentality, their physical and mental endurance. You're developing these young men. They they start to pick up the sport.
Mhm.
Learning the sport comes second, and
Yeah.
then it just kind of domino effects. Winning is like the last thing that happens as far as the domino effect,
Mhm.
but that if you did the first steps correctly,
Mhm.
then winning came naturally,
Yeah.
and that's what we did.
So, like for the last few years, I've coached girls volleyball for a long time, and you have to physical basics, mental basics,
Yeah.
and you talk to those girls. Yes, you will discipline them,
Mhm.
and that discipline is more of like being prepared, you know.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, after the practice, you talk to them again, and you really ask them, "What do you think? What do you want? What is it that?" I mean, girls will cry, but in the end, they'll come up and
Yeah.
they'll say, because they're athletes, they'll say, "Okay, this is what I want to work on. This is what I want to do." It's like, there you go. That's when you grow up, you're going to have to tell your boss. Or if you have your own company,
Yeah.
you're going to have to ask yourself those questions because you got to know what you want. You got to know where you want to go.
Yeah. One of the coolest things I saw with Bizzardi was he almost worked with our team like a freaking Rubik's cube. Every now and then, occasionally, he would ask us, "What do you want?" Like
Yeah.
as a team, he would ask us, "What do you want?" Then individually, he'd be like, what are you trying to achieve this season? What do you want this season?" And then it wasn't until we started to realize that all of our answers began to mold into the same answer. We started saying, "We want to get to that postseason. We want to play in the postseason. We want to
Yeah.
get to that championship." And so because the beginning it was, "Oh, I want to win, or I want to do this."
So heater blasting there?
No, it's probably the light.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, the answers were different in the beginning of the season,
Yes.
and then mid-season he would ask us again, and all of a sudden our answers were all the same. It
Mhm.
was all the same answer, and he said, "There we go," and he was like, "There's the consistency."
So thinking about that, like for basketball, dealing with the young men, they did really good development because I've had a lot of kids break down on me or try to quit, and I just tell them, "What do you want? You're an eighth grader. What do you see yourself doing? What is it that you want in high school?
Mm-hmm.
Then beyond that, do you want to be a professional, like go to college, or do you want to go into a different profession where you go to a tech school and become a welder, become a plumber, become a carpentry? What do you want? Or do you want to go to a tech school to become a rancher, to become something?" And you ask them these questions. And I was like, before you walk away, you need to figure out what you want. I'm not going to let you quit just like that.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of boys do that. More boys than girls, surprisingly.
Really?
Yeah. More boys want to stop. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But then in the end, when they're done with it, I said, there you go. And I'll just tell them but one day you will become a father or a parent or a step parent. I don't know what you'll become, but what kind of an adult life you'll have, but you'll be a parent. And when you become a parent, you're
teaching.
Your job is 24/7.
Yeah.
There's no day off. There's no vacation. And so you survive the season. Before you start the next sports season or before you do anything, ask yourself why you want to do it.
Yeah.
And not just because your uncles want you to do it, not just because your aunt wants you to do it, not just because your family wants it. Like, do you really want to go through this next 12 weeks?
Yeah.
Do your schoolwork, go to practice, go run at home, do your chores at home, come to school on time, do your homework in a timely manner,
Yeah.
So all of that goes into play. Do you have enough to eat at home?
Yeah.
Are you willing to tell someone that you need food instead of fainting at practice or something?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of these things you're responsible. You're 14 years old. You need to be thinking about it because 4 more years, you're going to be an adult.
Yeah.
And when you become an adult, very few people will talk to you like this.
For real.
And I said, if you know me, if you're 30 or 40 years old, I'll still talk to you like this. So anyway, there's a difference. There's a big difference. But for, I guess, aside from teaching, it's interesting to watch kids grow in the sports arena. It's really interesting. Club sports, because I did basketball. You know what? When I didn't do basketball for the school, I always did spring basketball for like so many years. You remember you helped me with that one year?
Yeah.
But Tyson was always my sidekick, but with that, and we did it for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
And the boys program went back up after we started doing that. And it takes, like, for me and you, for anybody, like we tell our kids, it takes commitment.
For real.
So, and then just thinking about it, I'm like, I did club basketball at the same time I was doing club volleyball. That's a huge commitment. Yeah,
and what I think a lot of, like, especially the kids, this is the thing the girls didn't realize with me was the amount of time you're spending away from your family, the amount of time you're spending away from your personal life, and it's not that we were seeing it as a crutch. As a coach, I loved being in the gym. Coaching was just another excuse for me to be in the gym. It was closer to the thing that I love the most. That I love the most. But yeah, commitment and accountability was the 2 biggest things I think.
I think commitment is the biggest challenge.
For me, it's accountability.
And
but we see that a lot with our culture and on the reservation is those two things are some of the 2 main issues that our culture sees.
Yeah.
There's a commitment and accountability, like your boys from State Line, commitment issues.
I didn't know you follow them. That's like something that was unknown to your followers, dude. Now you know.
See, I didn't even know about it till today.
So how do you know then?
Brittany showed me a post. She showed me. She's like, "Look what's happening." I was like, "Holy shit!"
I didn't know. Like, now I know that you're a State Line guru.
Dude, you were. I know you know, man.
Okay. I didn't even know because I was following the NCAA women's basketball.
Yeah, I would say I'm watching the men's.
I was watching both, flipping back and forth.
Yeah. I know you know. Don't give you that.
So what happened?
Heck if I know. Dude, didn't he like fool around with like his lady sister or something?
I'll look it up later since now you know. I'll look it up.
It's Brittany showed.
Is it a meme now?
I don't know if it's a meme. Well, it's probably a meme, dude. The internet's ruthless. But
I'll check them out.
It's so funny, dude.
Yeah, it's like doing club volleyball for the last, I don't know, maybe 15. It was our 15th year last year.
Yeah.
16 to, I mean, I don't call it, I guess it's 16th year, but we didn't finish it.
Yeah.
It was crazy, but.
Man, that year would have been so exciting to watch.
Yes.
Dude, we had that was the group that I saw develop from like
Little babies to,
yeah, and then seeing them in their prime.
yeah.
They were 18, 17, and 18-year-old girls. Just dude, they were killing it. This group had
But
ridiculous potential.
you could tell that that's the program that I ran with the support of a lot of volunteer coaches over the years.
Yeah.
So you tell me, did I focus on winning and losing, or did I focus on development every practice?
Well, I mean, yeah, it was development. I think being a spectator from the first few years, like when we watched Tanisha at, when she was only 12 playing, well, she wasn't even 12. They were like
8, 9.
yeah, 8 and 9 playing in the 12s division, and seeing that, that was cool because there's where we didn't care about, especially didn't care about winning.
Yeah.
The girls just loved to be on the court.
Yep.
Whether they were winning teams or beating teams
Or losing.
they just wanted to be on the court. I think that's what's one of the issues too with our kids today is they want to win. They don't want to be on the court. And then to develop and learn. And then when it came to the older girls, I think winning was only expected from the parents and the spectators because
it was just a culture.
Yeah, that's at this point as far as development.
Yeah.
They were already developed, and winning again just came at the very end of the domino effect.
So that's the thing that I wanted to ask you. Like, I ran the practices, but I think, like you said, culture had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
Did I need to be there to watch, even though like you have very little to no experience coaching volleyball?
Oh yeah.
And even before you, I had a lot of parents step up and just stand in for me and watch the girls play.
Yeah.
So talking about culture, did I need to be there to look over your shoulder to see if the girls win or lose?
No.
No. What do you think was the key?
Well, I think looking back at it now, I think it was kind of just expected. Not winning was expected, but the attitude was expected. You had expectations already set, and then I think for me, I never had issues with the girls.
See, that's the question. Why didn't you not have issues, even though, like, I did most of the training?
Because I was a badass coach. I didn't know what I was doing half the time.
Exactly. So how do you think? See, you need to probably talk about it because I don't know. I mean, here you are in the gold bracket.
Yeah.
A person who knows nothing, absolutely nothing about volleyball his first year. He knows how to play a little bit, but just,
a little bit.
That's just gym rat. But otherwise,
that's
it's just standing on the sideline and the girls are doing what they need to do.
Well, first off, a lot of it was kind of studying you, listening to your terminology, and especially listening to the going back to consistency, listening to the terminology that you use, because if I went with something different, they weren't going to know what the hell I was talking about. So if they knew what you said at practice, and if I regurgitated it enough, they were gonna understand. Like if I said, I don't know, but yeah, if I used the same terminology, they knew that these are certain keys they had to look for, because it's the same thing we did in practice. It's that same consistency that we saw. But your question was, why do I think that your expectations were preset in a sense?
Yeah. Because I've had a lot of parents with little knowledge of coaching stand on the sidelines for a year or two because I didn't have any volunteers to come up. So they would say, I do it. And they would be in the goal bracket and they'd be freaking out. Miles, we're in the goal bracket. And what do I do? So how is that possible? I mean, like you've seen club basketball and club volleyball.
Yeah.
What do those coaches have? Tablet?
Oh, yeah.
And documenting everything.
Yeah, every single statistic.
But what are we doing? Our girls are doing, our girls are like just clobbering this team, but the coach is standing there.
Yeah.
And what did you have? A little piece of paper that just showed you what
rotation.
Order.
Yeah, just the rotation.
Yeah, what order the girls were in.
Yeah.
So I think there's a huge difference. Like I watch I don't know. I just watched a lot of club basketball, a lot of club volleyball. That
Well, even if you look at down to
yeah.
our 12s, which was the youngest group, they were still doing their own. They were doing their own coaching.
Yeah.
They were doing their own bookwork.
Yeah.
Other teams had their coaches sitting beside them or
Mm-hmm.
doing the paperwork for them. You know, we were required to sit by them, but I could sit there and enjoy the game.
Yeah.
And like, you know, Tyla and them were doing the book. They were following rotations like it was no problem. I think our girls, even as young as this 12s group, had little to no problems as far as
last year when the girls made the gold bracket for the 18s at what's that big stadium?
Fiesta, yeah.
And college coach asked me, what are your stats on this?
Oh,
I just said there are no stats.
yeah.
Go see the player. And he was like, I want to see the stats first. I said, there's none. And this other coach goes, I've seen you guys in a lot of top level matches everywhere we went. You're always in the gold bracket. Where are your stats? I just said, I don't have it.
Yeah.
I don't have anything like that. And he asked me, he goes, why? And I said, in this day and age, more coaches are focused on character, mental awareness, court sense, and physical ability all at once.
Yeah.
And the only way they can see it is when they look at the game at the player.
Yeah.
And what stats got to do with it? I said, you're like, you're right. But we do need it. How, if he goes, how do you adjust your game? I didn't have no words because I'm like, you ask the girls, what are we doing wrong? They'll tell you, and then you think, okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
And they'll respond. So I guess there's a whole different level of the way that we ran because I had a lot of helpers. They never took stats. I mean, over the years, there was a lot of volunteer coaches. And last year, 2 years ago, your brother Garrettson took a team to Salt Lake in a higher league, and they took gold.
Dude, that was so cool. That was so fun.
And he goes, Miles, some club wants me to coach for them next year. And I said, what did you say? And he started smiling. First, I just said, yeah, okay, I will. and then I guess later on he goes, no, I'm just joking. I'm just here like this coffee cup as a supervisor to these girls.
What was cool was, I think more from the coaching side, the endorphins kicked in when we were kicking other teams' asses who paid their coaches.
Yeah.
Our program didn't get paid. Everything was funded through our own fundraising, our own pocket. As coaches, half the time we paid for everything ourselves. But other teams were paying their coaches. They had their own facilities to run their own practices. We have to borrow our facility from the school here at Shonto, right?
Yeah.
And we were clobbering teams who had like 3 to 4 coaches lined up on the bench. Each coach was taking down statistics. One head coach was coaching.
Yeah.
And dude, we have all these like res girls. We're just whooping these girls' butts. It was awesome, man.
Just like that. The funniest thing is like, like this program attracts a lot of girls or locally.
Yeah.
It attracts a lot because we're so-called the volleyball whisperers. And do you know that some parent actually said that, volleyball whisperers?
No.
Yeah. Brought a child over and like, we heard there were some volleyball whisperers here around here. So I brought my child to play for a club here.
Yeah.
And every year is funny when you get new parents and you have the string, this little climbing rope that goes across the small gym or across the big gym. You just put it up and we play on it.
Yeah.
And all these girls who've been in the club are just like, this is natural. Like, oh, okay, let's do it. And you have these new girls, these new parents that come. I mean, they're well-off parents. Like, both parents are working maybe. And
for real.
They come up to you like, do you need a net, Miles? We can pitch in to get a net.
We'll buy you a net.
We'll buy you a net. And the veteran parents would be smiling like, no, we don't need a net.
Yeah.
And
And it's not that we didn't have a net. It's
that's
just we were capitalizing on the
space.
space. If
Yeah.
we put up a net, then we lost like what, 6 feet?
Yeah.
I mean, 3 feet on the side, 3 feet on the other side.
Three in the middle had
Yeah.
like 5-6 feet of space altogether. We lost 12 feet,
Yeah. And so
and
if
that's
we
a
just
full court.
put up a whole rope, we
Yeah.
had.
So anyway, and then this parent goes, I've been a parent here for 4 years, and that rope wins championships. And then this lady goes, are you serious? The parent goes, yes. I said, the first thing that you need to do is leave the gym as a parent, or you stay in here with your child and take it.
For real. One of the, I think, even as in the Navajo culture, like the Navajo nation, one thing I think we should be proud of was the last year we were in California, the top 3 teams were Tuba, Shonto, and Shonto, right?
Yeah.
We had 2 teams in the 18s bracket.
Mhm.
The team that I had, they were only 16. They should have been a 16 team, right? But
we were bumped up because we won the Arizona region. They're
Yeah.
like, you're going to be too good for the 16, so they asked us to move up at nationals.
And things like that, was what I want to bring exposure to. That's what I wanted to show people off the res and on the res. Dude, like this was the national tournament in San
Yeah.
Diego. The top 3 out of the 4 teams that were playing for the championship,
The top 3 were from
3 were from the Navajo Nation.
Yeah.
2 of them were from the same facility.
Yeah.
That was cool, coaching against Garrett. I got to coach against my own brother for the semifinals. Man, that still pisses me off that we lost. He still talks shit too about.
Even the 12s took gold, and then the 14s that went well, and
I think they went bronze.
Yeah, the 15s took gold.
Yeah, man, dude, the whole program just dominated.
So that's one of the things that a lot of people, I think, should see is, like you said, commitment, accountability, and just being there as a person. I mean, we have our ups and downs. We have our own emotions at home, outside the gym, inside the gym, But when you're there with kids, it's like a clean new slate. So one of the reasons why I kept going with club volleyball was I think part of that program, I'd say half of it, like literally saved my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when I ended up in the hospital, when I came back to work, I was physically not capable, but when club started, my body just started to heal. It felt like at a faster rate.
Yeah.
And the girls were being gentle on me, but I said no. And then I was like, then we started going, and then.
Do you remember that time I almost killed you?
Yeah.
When I threw the ball at you, and then I'm assuming it was your muscle memory that just kicked in.
Yes.
I was Miles, and I threw it, and you said it, and then you said your stitches reopened. I just remember you said it, and you're like, and then we went through practice, and then the next day I show up to work, and then they're like, oh, hey, Romero, you're subbing today. And I was like, for what? And Miles. What happened to Miles? So I text you, dude. You end up you told me you were at the hospital. You had to get it checked out. Your stitches reopened, or your cut.
It was just like an incision or something.
Yeah. I almost killed Miles again.
So I think part of that program saved me, and then the other 50% is just kids at school.
Yeah.
I mean, when you go through a tragic something like that, I'm not sure why people hang on to. I don't know. It's kind of weird for me. I look at the kids, and they literally just save your life. I don't know how, but they just do.
Yeah.
So when I see someone, like a coach or someone or a teacher, they lose a loved one, but they go all the way over here to the extreme. But for me, when I lose someone or when something happens to me, I'll go to the classroom and look at the kids.
Yeah.
And I'm healed, like literally. Yes, I'm suffering from a lost loved one or something like that, but still looking at the kids, I'm like, I'm healed. I'm here. They're here.
Yeah.
And that healing process begins. So that's what a lot of the girls did, was being at the gym with them.
Yeah.
Because I remember something happened. The club season was going in April. No, May. Something happened to me. We were supposed to go to Las Vegas. Remember, for the West Coast in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We were supposed to leave on Friday. However, something happened to me on Wednesday. I couldn't. I couldn't, like, my body started puffing up.
Yeah.
I couldn't release. I mean, so I ended up in the ER, and they flew me to Phoenix to my doctor on a Wednesday night. I ended up there Thursday. I had surgery Thursday night because they found the problem. There was something going on with my colon, because the colon is responsible for, like, the digestive tract has a huge responsibility in it. So something happened to it, so they kind of cleared it out.
And that was where you got stabbed, right?
Yeah.
Or had to do with it?
No, it was just after, when I was healing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm in the hospital Friday morning, and the coaches and parents are calling me, but you're not there. I said, no, don't worry about it. Just go. Everything's set. Just go. And then we had 3 teams there. At that time, the club was a little bit smaller. I only had 3 because I wasn't physically capable of running. So the girls, all teams made it. 2 of them made it to the silver bracket, which is pretty high. And then 1 made it to the gold bracket.
Yeah.
And parents and players kept texting me, Miles, we won, we're 3. Everybody was like, we're 3-0 today. So, okay, good. When are you going to be here? I was like, don't worry about me, I'm good. Because the doctors were just waiting for me to pass and take a dump or something. They were just waiting for me. As soon as that happened, I was out.
Yeah.
So Saturday night, I'm laying there. At midnight, I wake up, and I felt like I was about to pass gas. And I was like, the nurse came in, and the nurses knew me because I spent like 2.5 months there.
Yeah.
The year before that, and it's like, what do you need? What's going on? I said, I need to go to the restroom. So they said, you're supposed to observe me, so that way nothing happens. So I did, and I passed, and I went back to bed. And the next morning, I passed again, and the nurse was like, I think you're gonna be clear to go today. That was Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, and then the girls were playing again, and 2 of them went 2-1, so they ended up on the silver bracket, and then 1 of them went 3-0. They went to the gold bracket.
Yeah.
So in the evening, they're like, when are you coming? We need your expertise because one coach was a parent, used to be a bus driver for his school district in Kent.
Yeah.
The one that made it to gold is also a parent, and he worked at Peabody. There was 2 of them. One of them was a security guard. They're like, we've had kids play these sports all year, but we don't know anything about it. We just love to yell at the coaches. But I didn't have anybody, so they stepped out.
Yeah.
They were standing, and then there was the one. She was with me the whole time, but she was taking care of the one team, so she wasn't able to keep an eye on these guys to see what they were doing. But because he had a lot of knowledge, she had a lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
And they made it.
Yeah.
The whole weekend without me. But Sunday, I got on the plane. Sunday night, I flew to Vegas, got off, went to the gym. I took a nap, went to sleep. Next day, I got to the gym, and we took gold because the guys were like, we're freaking out. Can you help us? I said, no, I just want to sit here and enjoy the game. Because at that time, Star was playing, and Taylor and them were playing.
Yeah.
So I just want to enjoy the game. Oh, no, Miles, we want to enjoy the game. Can we just enjoy the game, you coach? And so I coached, and then we took it. And then the other girls took their brackets to silver and silver. They took their brackets. And it was pretty cool. It was a good homecoming. It was really interesting.
Man, that was like, even things like that was like one of the things I was freaking out about was, coaching was one thing, but when the head coach is sitting there watching, let's stand there like, oh, shit. Okay. I cannot fuck up. I think what I loved about the group that I coached, those girls would coach themselves, man, at one point. And the only thing I really ever had to get on them was the man, they used to dwell on stuff.
Yeah.
They would groan, like they would mess up and they would just
beat themselves up.
Yeah, and then I would, that's where I had to get after them, tell them like, there's nothing you can do to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, get over it. And so when they would snap out of it, they would come back. Oh, like that, like when we played at in Utah at Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Dude, that was so crazy because I think we were in the semifinals, and if we lost, we were out. But we won the first set, lost the second set, and for some reason we were on the verge of losing, and we were in the final set, and we were down. I think we were down like 14-7 something, and the girls were so like they had their head down, like they were done, they were already defeated. Called a timeout. I think I called a timeout like at 13 when they were at the other teams at 13, and I was like, said the same thing. Get over it. Stop. You stop worrying about something you have no control over. What happened? Whoever scored, whatever the score is, you can't change it. The only thing you can worry about is what you can do next. And so when eventually like we got back in the court, we got to stop, and then it was like 13-8 or something, and we ended up scoring another point, and it was 13-9, but seeing these moments where the girls like just kind of pull themselves out of it. As a coach, it's pretty cool to be on the sideline and see these things happen. But from the girls' perspective, it was amazing, watching them, watching certain girls develop leadership. And there was leadership coming from areas like Tanisha where you weren't expecting it. Some Tanisha who's quiet and very conceited, keeps herself. But on the court, when the girls were down, she was the one kind of redirecting emotions to the other girls and kind of pulling them together. And then Rainey's always going to be Rainey. She was there to push the girls. It was Tanisha and Rainey had this yin and yang thing where Bon was, like I said,
quiet and soft,
redirecting the emotions for the girls, and then Rainey was there just steamrolling the girls, just pushing them, and we ended up winning that game. That was crazy, dude. And like that, I remember you were getting texts about like, hey, we're losing, and I remember seeing Will like on the group chat or something, and he was like, just don't even worry about it, just watch, and sure enough, we came back in that last set, and dude, that was probably one of my favorite moments. Behind coaching against Garrett was that Utah tournament when we came back, and then we played the championship game, wiped the floor with that championship team. That semifinals was badass.
So it's interesting how you see a lot of these different moments, coaching, teaching, and just being a part of people younger than you, just people younger than you that you just watch. Yeah. Because there's a definite, healing process they bring to your brain. Yeah. You just mentally you become more relaxed. So I don't know, you just feel, I don't want to say energetic. Yeah. But it's a relaxation. Like yes, just like 5 seconds ago you were raising your voice because some child didn't move their feet to play defense, but at the end of the day you're like, your body's perfectly normal, like you're happy whether you won or lost. So I think I just genuinely just miss traveling with the girls. That was, and then Logan of course misses it, being at the house and being in the gym. Like Logan really misses the gym. So like it was funny how, I don't remember how many years ago, 9 years ago or something like that, when it was like someone like they only accept their own family to play in the club. I'm like, no. Oh hell no. I was like, you're just watching siblings partake in the whole thing. I was like, there's groups of family that partake the program, one might be in 12s and two might be in the 18 and 9. I don't know, but there's groups of families that are traveling through the program, and you have one child and you don't want to bring that person, but this parent has 3 girls in the program, yet they're single and they have one job. So they trust whoever it is in the program that they trust to take the girls to the tournaments. I said, there's that mentality. But here, someone's saying like, it's only family. I'm like, no. Yeah. Word it correctly. They said, say there are groups of girls from the same family traveling, and you could be too. And sure enough, they'll come around and they'll bring their kids in.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like we've had a lot of siblings.
Yeah.
It's wild. Like I'd say your wife, her sisters all went through.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And like a lot of families went through it together. And one of the ones I was laughing about was the Ned sisters.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody was like, I thought they were done. I said, no.
Yeah, it's carbon copies.
There's another one coming. And they're like, serious? And they're like, I was like, yeah, there's another one. And they'll be like watching. And
Yeah.
like the youngest one's a sophomore now. And she was determined to finish the program because her oldest sister like went. She was like, I'm gonna go more years than my sister, that's why I want to keep going. So it was funny. So that's one of the things. So it's interesting how programs start.
I've been getting a lot of questions like at work,
Uh-huh.
if we're gonna have the program again.
Yeah.
And I tell them like the only obstacle we're facing now, along with the pandemic in general, like everybody's
Yeah,
facing the
yeah.
pandemic, is the facility.
Yeah.
And then I was like, that's really the only thing that's kind of stopping us. Like I was telling them, you're eager, I'm eager, everybody's eager to get back in the gym.
But I think it's possible just as long, like for me right now, I'm thinking about like now Foundation has to approve like the amount of people that can like you could do practice anywhere outside or whatever, but
see, dude, I had a parent tell me that. I was like, the only thing we're really waiting on is facility and like protocols. She's all like, she said, fuck the, she's dropping F-bombs here, and she's like, we'll go practice down the canyon, we'll go practice outside, and I'm like, that's actually like one thing me and Miles have discussed, like is
but it's that group thingy. Like
yeah.
right now we're at how many? 8, 5? You can't have more than
something like that. Yeah. I think
I told the parents, as soon as Now Foundation says it's okay for 20, we can do 2020.
But what I love is that this parent she just wanted to see her daughter play. Like forget the facility, forget the luxuries.
Yes.
We'll get the facility when we get to the tournament.
But our veteran parents know, like, we can practice anywhere.
Yeah.
I remember last year we had that new girl, little girl, she's in 14s. She was trying so hard. And I was like, what are you doing? She's all, this. I'm like, what is that? And then she goes, no, do it like this. I said, this is how I want you to do it, because you're going to get less effort, more product. And she was doing it, but it was hard for her. And she just busted out crying right there. And it was funny how like the girls came to her.
Yeah.
They consoled her. They're like, Miles is not going to tell you to be. Miles is not going to be nice to you.
Yeah.
We're here. We're here.
They got to go through that whole initiation, man.
And then they're like, it's okay. It's going to be okay. It's going to get better. The girls, how 14-year-olds are. They're so emotional.
Yeah.
These 14-year-old girls just went to her and they're like, it's going to be okay. And then one of them just said, it's a good thing that I cried my practices 2 days in a row when I was a 12 on the 12s team.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, and then
she's like, good thing I got all my crying out when I was in 12. It's like, talking trash.
Yeah,
there.
And then they're like, you'll be okay. Just stick it out. You'll be all right. And then the next practice, like she's like the first one coming in.
Yeah.
She goes, because I guess on the way home, imagine a 13, 14-year-old driving home like an hour, 2 hours. I don't know how far she had to drive, but
she was one coming from the east, right?
Yeah. And thinking home, and she'd be talking to herself, and then she would literally she would tell like her mom she never used to talk about things like this, but she opened up and she talked to us all the way home about practice, how hard it is, how different it is, and how really demanding it is. She likes it, but all that yelling she didn't have that because nobody really expected her to do it the way that it's supposed to be done. The mom goes, she talked about all of that, and then finally, and we asked her, do you want to go back? And then at the end, she goes, by the time we were almost home, she goes, yeah, I'm ready for next practice.
Dang. That's what I loved. Like, We had kids coming from like the east side,
Yeah.
past Kanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were driving ridiculous hours. They were like, well,
We had one from
Winter Rock.
Winter Rock, Delcon.
Yeah.
I remember one year we had girls from Albuquerque drive.
Oh, nuts, man.
So-
And like they would get and with the girls that come from out of town, they were the first ones at the gym.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And then you had the girls who live on campus who were dragging in 5 to 10 minutes after.
But see, that's the thing. That's what I like about running something that's just worthwhile, you know,
Yeah.
because when you run it well, I mean, you're still going to have angry parents or angry players. You're still going to have that regardless. I know you experienced that also, but you're still going to have it, you know,
Yeah.
no matter how good,
Yeah.
how awful or how good the program's running. Then you'll have some parents come to you and say, this is what I'm thinking, this is what happened, and all that.
Yeah.
You just have to, with kids, you have to really work with them through it.
Aside from what I saw and kind of what I've experienced under you, have you had issues, or what do you do when you have when you're, because this is a question I asked Bizardi and Rector, was how do you go about coaching rather than for a student? But you're at this point you're coaching against a parent against a parent, because like coaching against parents, I wouldn't call it that necessarily. Like when parents insert themselves and try to butt in, you know, it happens everywhere. Like even no coach is immune to it. Even Coach K for Duke University, one of the parents was, you know, blowing him up because
after he got recruited for the NBA, and then he starts to come out and say all this crap about.
Well, the parent was saying that her son didn't get drafted high enough, and it was Coach K's fault because Coach K didn't give her son enough playing time. And so even at the collegiate level, a parent was, you know, whining and crying about my son's playing time. How did you deal with in all your years of coaching? How did you deal with coaching against parents rather
I
than
never
for
had,
students?
you know.
You never had?
Never had.
Like you've never had parents who were just like, my daughter's not getting enough playing time.
No.
Really?
Once every now and then that happened when like one of the assistant coaches would take the girls.
Yeah.
That happened once or twice, but I just go there and I just watch what's going on. And I just have to remind the coaches, make sure, you know how like when you're coaching, you always have a different lineup because you play everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the people outside the program, like other teams, other parents from everywhere else would see that regardless whether we won or lost.
Yeah.
The subs will be playing the next game regardless.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of people love is the subs will be playing.
Mm-hmm.
The next game, someone else would be playing and you still win.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of parents just hate it from other clubs. So I was just like, usually I observe. I mean, sometimes that happens true. Like when my assistant takes the girls, like, oh, that person is not playing all these girls.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to go over there and like monitor, like these girls need to go in, let these guys go in. And I mean, it happened a couple times and you just have to make sure that everybody goes in. But other than that,
you've never had issues with a parent?
I never had issues with parents telling me this, that. Maybe when I first started, like when I was young, really young, maybe, but then I just told the parents, I had 2 teams. They were doing well.
Yeah.
They were going to play against each other. Like that what happened last year.
Yeah.
So in the goal bracket, they were face to face. I put the parents that were saying that in charge. There you go. I'm going to sit right here and watch you guys coach.
Mm.
So I sat there, watched the game. First game was over. The set of parents over here that lost came to me, Miles, can you take over? I said, no.
Yeah.
You had all these questions about how I was coaching. So you deal with it for this game. I just told them, what are you going to do to alleviate? You have those other players that you guys used to tell me sub.
Yeah.
So you deal with it. So they switched. The other team won. So it was 1-1. The one that lost again goes, what do I do? I said, I'm not telling you. Go figure it out with the girls. But I didn't see those two girls playing yet. And I said, that's what you guys were telling me. Some girls don't play that much. So you figure it out. And that's when it clicked. And then after that, we had a huge parent meeting and just told them, see, you look at all of this and sometimes you tell me sub, sometimes you tell me, like a long time ago, like sub, you tell me to do this.
Yeah.
And look what happened. I said, tell me what was going through your mind when you were doing this. And they're like, we just went blank. We didn't know. We forgot that there was other subs that we could sub in. I said, see, as a coach, all these things are going through your head because there's live action that you have to focus on. And then there's these girls you have to focus. Then you have to focus on what you need to do. Like there's these three things that's interplaying all through the game.
Yeah.
And I said, now you know.
Yeah.
Especially, I said, when you're in the goal bracket.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah. I said, especially when you're in the goal bracket. And you try, so you try to make everybody play. And then I think one of the things that stopped, I think it stopped after that year. I think it stopped. So all these past few years, it's been good, you know. I'd like to keep it that way. But I think one of the things that I'm proud of is every single one of our seniors that you, your wife, Garrett, everybody like Stacy Tate, Amber Yazzie, all these girls, Taylor Worker, everybody who assisted, like my sister, Treva, that had some kind of an impact. And when these girls make it through their senior year as being part of the club, like let's say they go all the way through their senior year, they get offered a college.
Yeah.
That's what I like. I mean, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Whether they take it or not is not my, it's not our choice. But
one of the things I thought that was interesting was, do you remember that year that one of the girls asked you to be at her college signing? And then, because like we saw the pictures circulate on social media.
Yeah.
And you see Miles taking pictures with the girl as she's signing her college offer.
Yeah.
And then, but you don't see her head coach that coached her in high school, that coached her. And then she even mentioned it, like I think when she was talking to Nabo Times, that she was proud of the Starlings program because that's where she developed. And there was some shade and some backlash.
Yeah.
Like I commend the young woman for it was a brave thing to do. Even you knew she was going to get backlash from like maybe her peers from the season or the program that she played under. But things like that.
But they know, like spending December to June with us. That's like
7 months.
7 months out of the year that they spent with us for like what? If they joined their freshman year, that's 4 years. 7 months per year out of the 4 years. If they join us when they're like in junior high, that's like what, 6 years maybe?
Yeah.
7 months out of the year that's with us. And that's why she did. We spend a lot of time with you guys. That's why we wanted to give you credit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I really like as a coach, you have to learn, you have to listen and learn. So one of the people that I used to go to, he's gone from cancer. Like he had cancer and he died from cancer.
Oh, yeah.
Rich Foley.
Yeah, I remember Rich.
Yeah, Rich Foley. Holy crap. Like when I first started my journey in coaching volleyball and basketball, when I first came back, I mean, I knew the little things of what I wanted to do, but I didn't know the big picture, like what could happen. And he would always say, okay, do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
He would break everything down for me. And he would be like, I can tell that you're learning from me because I've seen results.
Yeah.
After following you guys for the last 10 years, I'm seeing results. He goes.
Yeah.
Other coaches I tell, they'll listen to me in the moment, but they won't.
Yeah.
But you are listening and applying. So from him, it was a lot of like mentoring. Sometimes I would be mentally stressed, like, okay, Mr. Foley, we hit a plateau. We're winning, but we're not improving.
Yeah.
He goes, "You're not satisfied with wins?" And he was joking with me. I was like, "No, I'm not." I said, he goes, "What do you want?" I said, "I want my girls to kick it up."
Yeah.
And he goes, I was like, "Okay, watch the girls play. We're gonna play at Mesa this weekend.
Uh-huh.
Are you gonna be selling there?" He goes, "Yeah, I'll be selling nearby." I said, "Is there a way you can come over and watch my girls play?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "Okay." And I text him. He goes, "Okay, we're here. We're gonna play in a few minutes at 9 o'clock because we're roughing now. We're gonna play at 9."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, good, nice. I'm gonna set this up, put this guy in charge. My wife is gonna stay here. I'm gonna drive over there." So he came over and he watched the girls play. And he goes, "I don't understand what you want to improve. You just clobbered the other team." I said, "That's not it." I said, "One more game. We're gonna play again." I said, "Look at the mentality, look at the court work, look at everything from every angle and tell me what I can do."
Yeah.
And we went and then we won again. And we easily won.
Yeah.
And we were going to the next round. And then he goes, "Your girls do not know how to block zones." I was like, "What do you mean?" And the girls were floored. Are like, "You guys don't know how to block zones." And this is like a high caliber team. They never lost. Literally never. Nobody even touched him. And they were looking at Mr. Foley like, "What do you mean zones?" Me too. I'm like, "What do you mean zones?"
Yeah.
There's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, and there's a 5. You're not blocking those zones. That's why you're giving away 3 points when you don't do that. So we went outside because we had a break. We went outside.
Yeah.
And he goes, "This is what I'm talking about. This is 3 and this is 5. And make sure you have 1 here.
Yeah.
So when you're blocking those, you get more stops." And that year, the girls were taller. All of them were taller than me.
Is that a Taylor's group?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they were tall.
Yeah.
And Mr. Foley goes, "As tall as you guys are, you guys should be stuffing every single one of these hits." Or he goes, "Maybe," I say, 80% of them, you should be stuffing them.
Uh-huh.
But now you're only blocking maybe half, or not even half. He goes,
Yeah.
"You should be getting more blocks." And he did a tutorial outside.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, "Okay." So, "Girls, can you do that next game?" And they're like, "I think we can do it." And they're like, "I think we can do it. We'll practice." They just call it practice.
Yeah.
So they went. We were winning, but they were practicing that. And sure enough, I mean, I learned so much in that one instant.
Uh-huh.
3, 5, 1, 2. I'm like, holy crap, it works. And the other team, when we're playing them for the next day, we had 3 more, but that first round, we literally outblocked that team.
Uh-huh.
We moved on. We had like the first 2 games, I think we had a total of 10 blocks. But the last game, we had like 1 game, we had 12.
Yeah.
And
Damn.
I'm like, wow, it works.
I think
you have to learn. I think as a coach, you have to be a learner, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it's
the
crazy.
application.
What's crazy is I never heard of Rich Foley,
Yeah.
and let's say forwards. This first year I coached under you,
Mhm.
Rich Foley was at one of our games, and he
Yeah.
was selling, and so I never heard of him.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was this huge name.
Yeah.
And our girls, they did their thing, kick butt. We got off the court, did what we had to do, and as we were leaving, Rich stopped me. He was like, "Hey, he stopped me and he was like, "How do you know Miles?" He's like, "I thought this was Miles' program." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it is." He's like, Miles and I were good friends. He's by relation. He's my brother. I was like, I'm just kind of stepping in for him for the time being. And so I'm kind of thrown off because I don't even know who the hell this white guy is. I don't know who this white dude is.
The old Che.
Yeah. And he stopped me and he was like, he's questioning me. He's questioning. He's not necessarily questioning the program, but he's like, he's just curious.
Mhm.
He's just wanting information. And I was
Yeah.
like, I was kind of put off because I was like, who's this guy who wants to know about what we're doing? I
Mhm.
did it. And then when I got done, Garrett was like, he's like, "Oh, what did Rich say?" I was like, who, the white guy? And Garrett's like, yeah, what did Rich say? He's like, I don't know, dude just creeped me out. He's asking about the girls, he's asking about Miles, he's asking about Shonto. And then Garrett's like, what do you mean, dude? That's Rich Foley. I was like, oh, I don't know. So then he told me, and then he told me kind of like what Rich's legacy was,
Yeah.
and how the relationship you and him had just
Mhm.
kind of like developing as far as volleyball.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy. Then I felt bad, but then seeing him the next time, you know, the guy, like you said, he's ridiculously wise.
Yes.
This dude was smart, and
Yep.
you know, I think I didn't ask him why he stopped coaching, but I think one of the things he mentioned was about like one of the things he mentioned was passion.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even though you're kind of stepping away, you can never really step away.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude literally he mentioned how the program in Shonto, like, going back, was so consistent. And he said even though you weren't there, you know, seeing these things, these girls, like he's like it was like they would just put on a clinic.
Mm-hmm.
It was cool, man.
Yeah.
I just feel bad because I didn't get to develop a relationship with Rich, you know, in the time.
He was a good person to talk to.
Yeah.
Like when I'm not improving, or when when the girls like when you see me coaching in the gym for like the club season or whatever for basketball or volleyball, I'm always like moving and always demonstrating and always like really showing and everything.
Yeah.
And some people always say, how do you do that? You're always on fire for volleyball no matter what. Like, you know, how like Brittany goes, sometimes I'm lethargic and I'm like, but then you just bring, he goes, here comes this old guy. He's talking about me. That just brings fire and passion to it. And then the girls just get fired up, and you get fired up, and you just start going wild with everybody in the court. And I'm like, yeah, but I said, I got it from Rich Foley. Like, that dude just, at 70 years old, he never lost interest in the game. He always had something to say to improve. Like one year, like Rainey's group, we just like 16s, and this was like Division 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, wow, I get to see some good volleyball today. And then all of a sudden we're done. Like the first game, we're done in like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We ref, the next game comes on, then it's our turn again, and we're done in 25 minutes, I think it was. He timed me.
Uh-huh.
And then the mirror, sometimes you play back to back.
Yeah.
So we played back to back. We finished that game. And he goes, what in the heck did you just do? I said, it's all you, Rich. And then he's all, so all of that, everything we talked about, you listened and you applied. I said, yeah. I said, I really take it to heart when you say it like that. Whenever like you teach me, I do it. And he goes, I see it. And then there's always a but. You know how mentors are.
Mm-hmm.
There's always a but.
Yeah.
But you really say, okay, let me get my phone out and let me write this down.
Yeah.
And I write it down, and I'll look it up, and I'll talk to him over and say, what do you do? How do I get here?
He designed one of our sweaters, huh?
Yeah.
Man. And the thing that was really cool was it was Tanisha's little sister, Tyler, who had the TA.
Yes.
Yeah, and then it was her silhouette.
Yep.
And, wow,
that's a sweet sweater.
Yeah, I think I have mine in the closet. I should have brought it out. Should have hung it up behind you.
Yeah. So it's interesting how, like, when you listen and learn, you get a lot.
Yeah.
I used to listen a lot to, like, before my first ever season, I kind of, because my niece was part of Tuba City Starlings, because that's older, and she was part of it. She did all right, but I used to listen to Carol Talker, and she would go through all these like hoops just to get a gym to practice. That was like, that's when it started like opening my eye. You know, like she would be like asking for the gym at the boarding school. She would be asking for the gym at the community center, at St. Jude's, different places, to try to get a gym, and everybody would say no. And finally she would get a spot, and I would take my niece over there to practice. The next year we started our own here, and it worked. We had 2 teams, and it was pretty good. For 2 or 3 years we had 2 teams, and after that we started branching into 4 and 5 teams.
I think Brittany was part of your first team, right?
Yeah. So even them, they set the standard, you know,
Yeah.
just that culture of, I want to do this and I want to do it good.
What I loved, what I loved hearing those stories was the commitment.
Yeah.
Because Brittany would talk about how, like, one parent had like 4 girls like smashed up into one vehicle, and they were
Mhm.
going all the way, across state
Yes.
to like Cali. And at the time, because the program was so new, parents weren't following their kids down.
Yes.
There was just that trust and that commitment. So you had all these girls cooped up into like one hotel.
Yep. When we first started, it was mainly me and
I think
um,
Britt mentioned was it
yeah, there were a lot of parents who stepped up, like Treva,
yeah,
Phyllis.
yeah.
You know, all these years they stayed with me. Taylor's grandparents,
Mm-hmm.
Daisy and Leslie.
Yeah.
Oh boy, they really supported their grandkids. Like hands down, they would.
Yeah.
They would travel everywhere with us. I mean, even though they got older and Tree was like, we don't want them driving, they're getting older, but
Man,
they were just gung ho and just wanted to be there. And they just like, it was just amazing. I mean, I think that's part of also the drive that I had.
yeah.
If my brother Leslie can drive, as old as he is,
Uh-huh.
I can do it.
Uh-huh.
So back then, we used to haul the girls because parents never really went the
Yeah.
first 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
It was me, Treva, Phyllis. I remember there was another parent that really helped. Nicole's mom sometimes.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
Christine, they would haul girls.
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was really, really fun. I mean, we still had our ups and downs here and there.
Yeah.
It was fun. So I think like you always go back to that commitment, accountability,
Mm-hmm.
and passion. So I don't know if any coach doesn't have that, any teacher doesn't have that. it's a I mean, when you look at, like you said, when you look at these other clubs, they're taking stats, they get paid, they receive mileage,
Yeah.
they get their
their
hotel paid for, and
food, everything.
you wonder, is there any kind of love? There's probably love for the sport, but is there an extra oomph?
Mm-hmm.
Like for us, we put whole self into there and be part of the whole program.
And so one of the things I think I saw, like, as far as the mentality of these other programs have, is like they look for like the quick answers.
Yeah.
My experience as far as coaching volleyball only derives from watching you do what you do, and then like the open, like you said, open gym that I
Yeah.
play. But as far as like the development of individuals, I don't think I could do it. I know I couldn't do it on my own. I know I couldn't do my own program. But even for me, as someone who has like little to no experience as far as developing girls when they're into the earliest stages of their development in volleyball, I had other programs asking me if I had any interest of coming down south and coaching with them, and I was like, I would tell them like, nah, you don't want me, coach. Like, I'm only kind of stepping in.
I'm the coach, but you are the coach, but you are mostly supervising them.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's like I'm just kind of guiding them.
Yes, there you go.
I'm reassuring the girls, and so hearing that these other programs are willing to just take this total stranger,
Yeah.
who could, help their team become this winning culture.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I think I'd have to share with them, looking back at it now, is like, you're not going to get the answer,
Yeah.
in a snap. You're not
Mm-hmm.
going to get the answer by recruiting somebody, telling them
Yeah.
that we'll pay for this, we'll pay for that. If you just come work with us,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of looks bad on their program.
Yeah.
They're looking for just paying for the answer.
Yeah.
Even working in the classroom, I've worked with people here at the school who like straight up told me, "Oh, like, this is not what I want to do. I didn't want to be a teacher."
Yeah.
And one teacher said, "Oh, I just did this because I got done with my last career, and I already had a." She said, "I already had a degree in this," and
Then they have a retirement already coming
Mhm.
with that other job that they used to have.
yeah, she was like, "So I'm just doing this to pass the time," and I was like, "Well, that's why you're pissed off all the time.
Mhm.
That's why you're yelling at your kids half the time, just because you don't even want to be here to begin
Mhm.
with." And so, And that's what I told Britt. Like, when it came to education, people, they were the people that I worked with, like at Walmart. They'd be like, "Oh, but why do you want to be a teacher? Like, they're like, don't you know that Arizona's the second to the worst state in the United States of being a teacher? They're like, your pay is gonna be shit." And I said, I don't want to be a teacher to get paid. I want to be a teacher for like the passion.
Yeah.
It's because I want to be there.
Did you tell him that you worked with some really good people at Shonto?
I told him I'm a badass.
Whatever, dude. Yeah, so I was just like, you gotta have the desire. You gotta
Yeah.
have to like dealing with someone else's child,
Yeah.
and you don't know really how they're raised unless the parent talks to you. But
Mhm.
otherwise, you really don't know. And you have 20 of them or
Yeah.
25. You have to have that passion.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like you said, you'll be tearing your hair out, stressed, and yelling at the kids for no reason.
And she's not a teacher.
Yeah.
Like, this was only like 2 years ago.
Mhm.
She wasn't a teacher very long.
Yeah, so it is. It's time consuming,
Mm-hmm.
but
And
I
see,
think that's what's missing.
I think so, and this is kind of one of the reasons why, when going into politics, this is kind of one of the reasons why I'm against raising salaries for teachers. I'm not necessarily against it 100%. I think that there needs to be some sort of reform as far as our education system in Arizona specifically, or across the U.S.
Yeah.
But when your biggest incentive is to say that we'll pay teachers more, that's obviously going to be the wrong step to take, the wrong first step to take, because education, realistically speaking, going into teaching is going to be one of the easiest career paths to choose. All you need is like a bachelor's, and in a certain field, and then you fill out certain things.
I think a long time ago it was, but not anymore.
Well, yeah, but so what I'm saying is, like, you're gonna get people like the teacher that we were just talking
Yeah.
about, who are gonna go into this job where they're gonna be getting paid a good amount of money, but they're not going in there because they want to be there. And it's it kind of falls back to the same.
But then you look at it from the other side, where someone like a lot of people like me
Mhm.
who are there doing good work, that are actually trying to improve and
Yeah.
trying to do a lot of these things, and you're stuck at the same pay,
Yeah,
and that's the other coin.
that's what I'm saying. Like, but I don't think the incentive is to promise up and coming teachers that you'll get paid more, that this is a career that will pay you good because it's in high demand.
Hmm.
I think maybe there should be like a base, and then with development, like a base salary. I don't know, dude. Like, for me, money is the wrong incentive, the wrong first step incentive to go with.
There's supposed to be different realms of um different types, like when you become a doctor, you have different years
Mhm.
of evaluation or whatever they do to
Yeah,
move up.
yeah,
Even lawyers, even like other other professional degrees.
yeah,
And for teacher, it's not really like that. So that's why they had that national board of certification, but it's not really all that. I
yeah.
think that's why I never went for it.
Uh-huh.
I could still, but I just
You're only like a semester or half a semester away from being a doctor, right? A doctorate?
Yeah.
Achieving your
don't know.
doctorate.
The only thing I need is a book, my dissertation, and then that I'm
And
there.
then you'll be Dr. Miles.
Yes,
Oh my God.
but
Your ego is already big enough, dude.
I'm like, if Romero can bring all my former students together and write me a letter to get my doctoral dissertation dismissed and just get an honorary doctor, shoot. But I have the classes. I have all the classes that's needed.
Uh-huh.
It's just the last bit. And I think I stopped just because I ended up in the hospital.
Oh.
It was hard to concentrate because it takes a lot of physical, mental, everything, energy.
So a lot of people don't know what happened to you. I know, like, hearing what happened. Where was I at? I was at home and my mom brought it up. She's like, "Did you know that Miles was hurt?" And I was like, and I was at the time, I was like,
Gangster, dude.
I didn't, our relationship hadn't developed at all at that point. So for me, it was just kind of hearing that one of my old teachers got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then hearing the way that you got hurt, you were stabbed, right, in the abdomen.
Yeah.
Hearing that, it was more of a kind of being worried,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of just this more of a shock,
Yeah.
more of a shock than anything.
I think a lot of people were shocked that I was gangster. No, no. I don't know, it just happened. Like visiting my son in Phoenix just happened like one morning.
Oh, so it happened in the morning?
Yeah, just knock on the door.
Yeah.
I've been living there, like I lived there before, and I know the kind of people that are there.
Yeah.
So you're cautious. But for me, I don't know what was going through my head, but I just opened the door without really looking. I thought it was the neighbor, like next door neighbor. They're always borrowing stuff.
Yeah.
From my son. I'm like, okay, so I opened the door, and sure enough, when it happened, I didn't know I was stabbed. I didn't know.
Did they just barge in and
They
stab
just
you?
barged in, and I didn't feel anything. I just sat down on the floor, and like whoever these people were, they just ran. Like they were dressed in whatever, like I call it regalia or whatever uniform. I don't know what they were wearing, but they were covered. But anyway, you could hear the voices, and they did their thing, and they wanted something from me. I don't know, like they wanted money from me. I don't know what they wanted from me, but they took everything, but yet they wanted more. I don't know what the heck they wanted, but so through this whole melee, in the middle of it, one of them came up to me and like they had a shot off. I remember looking at that shotgun was like that long, 2 barrels, pointed right here on my skull, asking me for money, I think it was. And I just looked down. And at that point in time, I was like, go ahead and I just told him, go ahead and shoot me. I don't have anything that you want. Shoot me. I literally said that. I remember. I was like, shoot me. I don't care. And then whoever the leader was, I guess, like snapped his hands.
Yeah.
They just took off.
Were you stabbed like just the one time?
No. I'm like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, what the hell just happened? I was a gun to my head, and I'm sitting here, like I kind of blanked out, but I woke back up and I'm looking around. They took a lot of shit and like a lot of stuff, and I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of stuff going, like everything. And luckily, I had put my car keys in a lunch bag, and that lunch bag was sitting wide open, but my keys were in there.
Yeah.
And as they were moving stuff around, every time they hit the wall, I would look at it. That thing kept moving. And my key had one of those little beaded thing with them, like those leather whatever tails. And it was sticking out because I was like, the whole time I was thinking, don't take my car, don't take my car, don't take my car.
You got a hole in your gut and you're asking them not to.
Yeah, they don't take my car. Then they left.
Yeah. I
stand up. And it hurts like 1, 2, 3 spots. It hurts. And I look around, there's no blood. I'm sitting there for like a whole, I don't know how long this took, maybe 5 minutes at the most, or 4 minutes. It was fast. I'm sitting there looking at the floor. I'm like, there's no blood. I'm like, what's wrong with me? And then I lift up my shirt and I see blood starting to gush. And I just wrap towel around me and we walk out. I drove.
You drove to the hospital?
I drove. And like from Mesa, near Mesa, like Tempe, the end of Tempe by that Walmart, all the way to Indian School. That's like, what, 20 miles from Indian Hospital? 20 miles, Indian Hospital?
Yeah.
About 20, 25 miles maybe? It's far.
Yeah.
I drove.
In Phoenix.
Yes, I drove all the way close to the hospital and I started fainting. I pull over, I said, son, drive, and he drove us to and the last thing I remember was getting a tetanus shot on the table, and that was it. And I don't know, when I woke up 4 days later. You
said that the doctors told you that, like, you actually died, right?
I died, like, he said he died. I died 4 times. I don't know, 3 or 4 times, because the first time I died, they brought me back to life. And then the second night, I guess, other things were happening again. because they didn't know that my heart was partially glazed.
Uh-huh.
My lung was pinched on the second stab, and my lower one was like my spleen or whatever, my liver.
Uh-huh.
So I had three, I guess. So they didn't know about the top. So they had to go back and fix and kind of fix the heart.
Yeah.
And the right here, they had to fix the lung. They didn't know that my lungs were collapsing. So my lungs collapsing, my left side. I guess I died again. I don't know. And I came back and I did it again. So I think they died 3 times, maybe. I don't know. My sister knows more. I think 3. And no, I said the only reason why they saved me was because they knew I was a teacher.
Yeah.
And it was interesting.
What year did this happen again? Like 2000?
I don't remember. 13?
I think it was like 2013.
13.
Yeah, 13. Logan was. He was born the year that you weren't coaching. What you weren't coaching, you weren't teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And then someone had to remind me. They're like, "Hey, where's Miles?" Like, "Oh, remember he got stabbed." I was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah. So it's interesting. Just a lot of, I think spending 2.5 months
Yeah.
was really mentally draining, I say.
Uh-huh.
This was just mental. It was all mental. Physically, you were healing, but it took time. But it was more of like your mental game.
Yeah. That's some nuts, dude.
Yeah,
You never think your teacher's gonna get stabbed.
Yeah. So it was more mental.
Uh-huh.
And from there, like I said, from there on, never have a bad day. Never have a bad day. I'm always.
And then I start working at the school 2016.
I don't remember.
Something. And like that was the time of my life, man. I really miss working in school. I miss the relationships developed with the kids and everything. I think those were like the few times that I enjoyed waking up and just looking forward to the day.
Yeah, always look forward to my day after that incident.
Yeah.
Regardless of what I'm gonna do. But I look forward to it.
But
it's just though. I think it's just wild that it happened.
Yeah.
You just think back and say, "What the heck? Why did it happen?"
And you said to this day that the case was basically closed, huh?
It's closed just because they blame me.
And they couldn't get any information out, right?
None, because they blame me because they're telling me that I'm withholding information. I'm like, I don't know. And the sad part is, I'm like, 5 days after I wake up from I get conscious again.
Yeah.
And I'm drugged up. I have an incision down my belly. I'm laying there, and there's this thing down my throat, and I can't talk. And the cop is asking me questions.
What the heck?
That was the dumbest thing. And I kept telling them I don't know these people. So sometimes when I'm traveling.
Are you more conscious now?
Yeah, I am. But sometimes when I'm traveling, I look around.
Uh-huh.
Like I look for these people sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Every now and then, like.
Were they wearing anything on their faces?
Yeah, everything.
Oh, okay.
They were dressed up.
If you were to hear them, if you were to hear like their voices again, could you distinctly point them out?
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I could hear the voice sometimes.
Damn.
Because they were talking, and I could hear. You could hear. I can still hear them sometimes.
That's freaky.
I'm lucky. Yeah. I'm lucky that from the time I was in the hospital, never dreamt, never nothing about it. So I'm lucky. I don't.
Yeah, it's freaky.
I don't think about it,
Yeah.
Like some people would I dream about it all the time. Like you would hear that from some people, but for me, I'm lucky that I don't. I don't think about it. Like I don't dream about it.
Yeah. Like the only thing I always crack up about was like what I mentioned earlier, just throwing you the volleyball and your muscle memory kicking.
Yes.
Your first instinct was to put your arms up and you're like, and I was like, oh shit, I almost killed him.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing that doctors can do amazingly. It's just crazy. Like my whole digestive system was rerouted, so one part could heal. It was
Really?
rowdy, yes.
What?
Things that doctors can do now is just amazingly crazy. Like it's just ingenious. Like just because my colon and my large intestine and my urinating tract, whatever,
Uh-huh.
something happened here. It affected everything this way, so it needed time to heal.
Uh-huh.
So the doctors went in and just rerouted the whole damn thing, and I had like a plaster. I'm like, holy crap! How did you guys do that? I think that's what kind of kept me sane too, is just kind of thinking about what did they do.
Yeah.
The whole time I was trying to figure out why
Yeah.
it was like that. How did they do this? How did they? I mean, that was just amazing.
Yeah. They had to rebuild you, huh?
Yep. Even my lungs.
So do you have did you have like asthma
No.
or breathing problems? No?
Well, at first I did.
Uh-huh.
It hurt, but after a while, it kind of went away because they give you exercises.
Yeah. Now you run and you walk and you ride bikes,
Yeah,
right?
heck yes.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of walking, a lot of
Do
biking.
you think your health is back to 100% or
No
no.
way.
No.
I think when something like that happens, you're barely at 70% probably of what you could be capable of.
Do you think you'll ever get back to being like 100%? No.
No, because there's a lot of things that I'm doing, the inside of my stomach will hurt.
Uh-huh.
Like even now.
Yeah, like even when I offer to like when we eat out or
Yeah.
when I cook and I invite you over, there's some things you can't
Yep.
eat. Right? Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of things I can't, and then like there's almost
Damn.
so much I can eat, and then like you take a lot of medicine
Yeah.
because of all the loss of nutrients that I've had through blood.
Yeah.
So I got to take a lot of different vitamins just to keep it up. So you never go back. Never.
Damn.
You never ever. So that's why I tell kids when you do this, when this happens to you, you'll never be back. Like even when you're young, I said, you injure yourself. You're never going to be 100. You might be 95%. You're
Yeah.
never ever going to. I said, I learned. It's just like we haul wood a lot.
Yeah.
So when I got better 2 years later, someone chopped wood for me. I felt I was okay. So I go outside, I load up all that wood into the bed of my truck, close it, drive down to Napa Mound to where my brother lives, and then I unload it. Then the next day, I can't move. I'm like, what happen's wrong with me? And then and then I was like, what's going on with? I mean, I was moving, but it was just like everything was just hurting inside.
Uh-huh.
Just that little chore of living heavy stuff, and I'm like, so then they're on a new. It's never gonna happen again.
Damn. That's
It's
nuts,
crazy,
dude.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but otherwise, if you stay consistent and persistent, everything works.
Mm-hmm. That's the main goals as far as like my coaching.
Mm-hmm.
As I like if there's anything I want any of our students to walk away with, it's going to be one of the three things I talked about with Bizarre Director was persistence, consistency, and accountability. Those three things are what I believe carried me beyond high school.
Then you have to have passion.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
You have to have passion for what you do. Like
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people consider their job, like where they work, is a job.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people, when they have passion, they say, oh, this is what I want to do. I'm going to do this for many, many years. And they'll say, this is my career.
It's not work. Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
there's a difference between having a career
Mm-hmm.
and having a job. So there's two, like, I guess there's a difference between those two.
How much longer do you think you're going to be teaching? How much time do I have to take over?
I don't know. It's all up to you. It's all up to Seth. It's all up to Sean. It's all up to whomever.
See, as I'm saying, you keep mentioning my classmates. I'm
I
just saying.
had Kimberlyn Black who came back, but she left. I mean, I was happy. All of a sudden, she's gone. She went back to. I mean, I had a lot of students. Like, I was always hoping this Melissa Casero was going to be a teacher, but she chose a different career path.
Uh-huh.
I always thought like Gregory Nance would be a teacher in my place, but he's off to a whole new life.
Yeah.
I always thought like Ambrosi's crew, Ambrose, that group. Rolina, those guys.
Yeah.
One of them would be a teacher
Yeah.
in my place, but they're off to doing great things on their own, you know?
Yeah. You're not working with any of our old students or any of your old students, right now that I can think of.
I used to, but not just Nicole.
So, yeah. Okay, Nicole. Yeah.
But there used to be a lot of you guys working there, but
Yeah. There was a whole crew. Like we
yes,
used to
it
get,
was awesome.
we used to get crap about it. Like, why are you employing these kids? And then they didn't trust the kids with the students, the parents.
And then they didn't trust me.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm teaching these people how
Yeah.
to work with these students, and
Yeah.
they're like, no, you're just in your room having a jolly. I said no. And then like Deidre's crew,
Yeah.
pretty bright group, and they're doing good things on their own. And there's a lot of people are doing good things on their own, but I always wish like someone would.
Do you plan on retiring? Like, are you gonna be one of those teachers that teach till like they're barely walking down the halls and
I was
pissing
waiting.
people off because they walk so slow?
I was waiting for you to say, dude, I'm done. I was waiting for Seth to say, hey, Miles, I'm ready.
So,
Like I was ready for anybody to say I'm ready. Like when Kim came back, I was ready to just like do like math intervention.
yeah. Would you move on to like what Bizzarri's doing, being the dean, and he wants to eventually be a principal?
I want to do math intervention.
Math intervention.
Yeah, I guess
Well,
because
you gotta wait for Miss Sells. Miss Sells is for her to retire.
what do you call it?
She's doing math intervention.
Research shows that if you have a quality math teacher,
Uh-huh.
they should be teaching the math interventions.
Teaching the teachers,
Mm,
or no, the
the
students.
students who struggle
Yeah,
in math.
yeah.
So that's what I want to do.
You
I
don't
did
wanna-
that when I went to Gila Crossing for the first semester,
Uh-huh.
and I was doing a good job. That they just said, "Oh, be a math coach." I'm like, "Why do you want to be me to be a math coach?"
Math coaches, is that where you're teaching the teachers?
Where you work with teachers to really refine and help them look at teaching.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just waiting for someone to come back and
And then you're gonna move on to the
whatever.
third person.
Yeah,
What about coaching? How many years of coaching do you have left?
until I can't no more, I think, because like you love it so much that you can't
Mhm.
really walk away, you know?
Yeah.
If you do it right, if you do it well, if you have good respondents,
Yeah.
if you have good turnout, if you have positive results,
Hmm.
yes, there's going to be some pros and cons in between, but still, if you have positive results somewhere,
Yeah.
I think I'll continue. But once there's this like whole slew that says Miles only cares about the best team,
Yeah.
then I'll probably stop. But right now, you've seen the gym when there's like 50 girls in the gym all at once, they're all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, now that's my passion, going through the same process. So once that happens, I guess I'm done. Or maybe, I mean, like I said, I coached when I was healing. I still had stitches and everything in my gut, and I was in
Yeah.
Vegas coaching.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible if you really do it well.
Yeah.
And then if I have the right people, mean people who are willing to work hard, because you will always come across, anywhere you go, you always come across that one person that's helping you that will negate what you're doing.
Uh-huh.
Like I've been lucky and fortunate enough that all these assistant coaches that have helped always followed
Yeah.
and did what I asked them to do.
Yeah.
So it's not as strenuous on the brain.
Yeah.
I think that's what counts also, is finding the people that will listen and learn.
Building that consistency in your
Yep.
program,
Mm-hmm.
everywhere from the students to the.
So I think that, I don't know. I'm just waiting for someone to come back and say I'm willing to teach. So go ahead.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, to former students.
Yes. Anyone. I know there's a lot of capable kids who've gone through
Probably
my
gonna be my
class.
class. Just saying.
If it's your class, maybe.
Better make a bet. We'll have it documented right here.
I always look at former students who are in other professions.
Uh-huh.
Look, you could have been a good teacher. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know why you're in that track. They're looking at me like, but I hate kids. I said, no, the way that you're handling a lot of stuff. I said, you'd be a good teacher. And they're like, I can't even handle my own nieces and nephews. What makes you think I'll be? I said, no, it's a different. I said, over there is a different world. So, but right now, I'm hoping like one of the TAs will finish too.
Yeah.
There's a few like the TAs that we have are really good. Like Tamara.
Yeah.
I was like, Tamara, I want to teach math, and she's like, I'm not sure yet. She's like, but she's a good teacher.
Yeah.
Holy crap, she's good.
Brittany's back in class, so she should be pretty close to finishing, but she's going into early childhood ed. How she can do that?
You have to have a knack for it. The lowest grade I've ever taught is 3rd grade. Never gone below that. I miss teaching college. I taught at Grand Canyon University and ASU.
Yeah.
Shoot, that was a blast. I miss teaching at the Ned College. That was a blast also. I like teaching college students because you treat them with respect and you really, really teach them.
Is there a different relationship between professor and college student? Or do you think it's relatively the same as
what I'm doing over here? It's
the
same.
It's the same? Really?
It's the same.
Wow.
It's just more of the professor being distant. But for me, it's more of like, what do you know? So I know what I need to do for you.
Yeah.
So you can be better.
Yeah.
So 2 summers ago, I had a group of kids at the Ned College. There was like 10 of them. And I walk into the class and like, oh, the famous, like one of them goes, that's Mr. Miles. My mom speaks highly of you. I was like, you're not, I don't know you. I don't know your mom. I don't refresh my mind. I said, refresh me. My mom took your intermediate algebra and your college algebra course way back. And she struggled with math, but she said you allowed her the opportunity to pass that class because she worked so hard.
Yeah. And
she came prepared every day because you helped them. You really helped her understand.
So yeah, you have kids that are just kind of like, they go to school to be shit kids. They go to school to be kind of a pain. They enjoy being that troublemaker. And then they also have like the kids who have like the lack of commitment, the lack of accountability. Do you see that with parents? Or not parents, do you see that with adults in college too? Who go there not to be like not to be a pain, but
not some.
That lack of accountability.
Yeah, the accountability is like a lot of them is persistence. They'll start off really good. And then all of a sudden there's a few of them that will just drop off and just you don't hear from them anymore. It's just kind of weird. So out of this 10, I said, okay, what am I dealing with? Are you first time in here? Raise your hand if this is your first time taking intermediate algebra. Not one of them raised their hand.
Wow.
Who's second time? All of them. Then 2 of them didn't raise their hand. Like, this is my 3rd time, Mr. Miles. Can you help me?
Oh my God. And then, like, these are grown adults, huh?
Yes. And then I was like, what happened? Why? And they're like, we saw your name and everybody is like, take his class. So we took your class. And it's okay, let's start this. It's going to be hard, but it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And then this one guy goes, yeah, my mom said that too, so I'm going to stick it through.
Damn.
He goes, he's going to be hard on you. He's going to make you think, but at the end, you're going to learn a lot, and then you're going to pass the class. And sure enough, out of the 10, one of them was pretty bright. I'm assuming he's taking his second time around just because he didn't finish the first time.
Yeah.
The second time around, he didn't finish again.
Oh.
So I ended up with 9. This kid, really bright, could finish the assignments right there.
Yeah.
He would miss 2 weeks, and then he would come back, and then he would say, Mr. Miles, I was at work. What do I need to do? I'm going to sit here with you until I'm done. Can you just explain to me what this means? This, and this. I'll do it. Yeah. I'll explain it to him real quickly. He goes, oh, okay, I got it. And he'll sit there, boom, 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 do all his assignments, and then he goes, I'm ready for the test. He's like, here's your test. He'll take the test. He'll get like a 70 to 80%. He goes, are you satisfied with this? He goes, yeah. And he goes, nobody ever gave me this opportunity. But his downfall was he didn't come back the last 2 weeks to finish the class.
Yeah.
So, but the 9 finished, and they finished, and they were like, can you move up with us to algebra, college algebra?
Yeah.
And I said, it's up to your professor, it's up to the dean, it's up to whoever. I guess when they moved up, they requested for me.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't really listen to the students. I mean, that's sad when they don't listen to adult college kids who have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we wanted you. And then one of them, I saw him at Bash's working. I said, hey, Mr. Miles, what's up? So, hey, so are you done? Are you going off to your tech school that you wanted to after your 2 years? And he goes, no, I didn't finish college algebra. I said, why? The teacher just taught us really fast and said you can do it on your own, watch YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like that relationship, so I just dropped out.
Damn.
And he goes, so you guys requested for me? He goes, yeah, we all did. He goes, and I told him, I said, I never heard word that you guys requested for me. And he goes, well, I think it was just verbally. We never wrote it down. That's why.
Huh.
I said, well, now you know, next time write it down.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
Damn.
But as a professor, you have to still have that. Yes, you're supposed to be that, but still you need that contact. I don't know how you would say it. It's more of a professional relationship where you actually see the kid working.
Yeah.
Because they're still students, they're still learning.
Yeah.
What good is it if I just teach and walk out the door and say, you guys go forward and do the assignment?
Uh-huh.
Whereas for me, it's more like, here's your assignment. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to work on it. In 30 minutes, if you have a question, I'll come and see you.
Yeah.
Or bring your book over here and I'll help you. That was how I was operating.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they really liked is, okay, Mr. Miles going to give us 30 minutes to work on this new assignment before we move on. Because in college, you have to teach like 2 or 3 lessons.
Yeah.
Because you only get like, maybe you only meet once or twice a week, depending on how many credit hours there are. But then they'll be like, before we move on to the next one, can you give us time to do the work?
Yeah.
To practice? They say, yeah. And then you move on. So that's how I established a lot of, so to this day, it's funny, like when I go, a lot of students I've taught,
Mm-hmm.
I go to different places in Chiba, like the hospital.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, Mr. Miles, come on in. That's
Cool.
the beauty of it. I really like it. I like
Seeing your old students as
Yes.
adults. Yeah.
even when I got hurt,
Uh-huh.
the second time when I was at the hospital in the ER,
Yeah.
and a lot of my former Bennett college students were working in there. They had gotten their degrees.
Wow.
Medical tech or whatever they were.
Yeah.
Nurses are in.
Yeah.
Oh, Miles, that's you. What's wrong with you? And they're like, they left their patients and they come to me and they're like, how can we help you? And I mean, it just felt good, you know?
Yeah.
It just felt really, really good. And it really settled me. And then they would go back. They're like, oh, he's always drunk. Never mind him. We fix him up. He's going to be coming back drunk, or he's
Yeah.
going to be abusive. He's going to get beat up again somewhere out there. So we'll just patch him up, but we want to fix you. And there were like 4 nurses working on me. And I'm like, okay, I'm good now. And they're like, Miles, are you sure you're good? I say, I'm good.
Yeah.
I was laughing at one of them. I was all like, so if I asked you to get coffee from me from the hotel, would you get coffee from the hotel? He's all, not that far, Miles. We can't go that far.
Day.
It was funny.
All right.
But, well, I hope it was a good session.
Yeah, it was good. We're going on almost 2.5 hours.
Dang.
Yeah. So
look-
before we end it off,
You look tired.
I'm good, dude. I'm
Not
good,
lies.
yeah.
You're squirming.
I'm not.
You're acting like my 7th graders when they first come into my class, just squirrely and squirmy.
But anyways, before we end the session, college basketball's going on.
Yes.
Who do you got? Who do you got for men's and women's?
For women's, I have Stanford.
You're not going for the home team? U of A?
No,
Oh wait, I forgot.
No.
You're a hater.
I am an ASU alum. Nope, never. I give him credit, but
Yeah, go for the home team.
No.
What about for men's?
I mean,
Whoever's left in
at least I was for GCU men's team, but they lost, so.
yeah,
But
they're
not
out early.
But not U of A, not U of A Never
I
know.
was happy that
You know what? The only time I ever followed U of A sports of any kind was when the little men, gentlemen were playing baseball. Remember them? He was a pitcher
Oh, no, I
for
was
U of
thinking
A.
mini goats. No, no.
Little Ben or Little whatever their
Yeah,
last name was from Page,
yeah,
the Chi area.
yeah.
That's the only time I followed them. Otherwise, I never followed U of A. The men's side, I
Hoover's left.
I picked Alabama. I don't know if they did they win today. Can you check?
I could check.
But they're playing right now, or go ahead and check.
Let's see.
I think it's Alabama that I picked, but Gonzaga looked good today.
Bro, Gonzaga's undefeated. They're on track too.
They might lose. You never know.
What? The team's gone undefeated for the whole thing. Not since I think UCLA.
South Carolina looks good for the women's side. Where is Alabama? They lost.
The
So
what?
Alabama lost, so
Holy shit.
I don't know who to pick now. So I guess my choice is from UCLA, Gonzaga, Michigan.
There goes my
And
bracket.
I had picked Alabama out of the Sweet 16. I had picked Alabama. Saturday, who played Saturday? Maybe I'll go with Baylor.
I'm gonna go with
Everybody's picking Gonzaga. I'll go Baylor. On the women's side, I'm going to go with Stanford
uh,
and maybe South Carolina. Dawn Staley. She was in college when I was going high school, and she was a beast. Dawn Staley.
yeah. No, okay, we're
Do
back.
you think?
Something happened to this thing?
I don't know if you followed women's basketball, but
No.
UConn.
Oh, dude,
No.
they run over everybody every year.
No, not really. They haven't won a championship in the last 3 or 4 years, so don't worry about it.
Didn't they win like 10 years straight though? With,
Yeah, that's a long time ago. But anyway, right now,
yeah.
they have that freshman phenom.
Uh,
Do you think she's as good as like Maya Moore or Deanna Taurasi or someone like that?
see, I don't even know who she is. Not right now.
Paige Beckers?
Paige Beckers? No,
No?
I gotta check her out. I haven't seen her.
Man, I'm still trying to decide. Everybody thinks she's better than all those like Swing Cash and all those ladies.
Yeah.
Like Sue Bird.
She's you said she's a guard?
Yeah, she's a guard and she's a freshman.
Yeah.
So like everybody like saying that she's better than them. I'm like,
Wow.
no. I said no.
I gotta check it out. I don't know.
But South Carolina is looking good. But my first choice is Stanford
Yeah.
for women's. And then on the men's side, I don't know now because,
Now that Bama's
well,
out.
Michigan's looking pretty decent.
I think actually never mind. No, Michigan. Who's the other team? Illinois. Illinois is the other number one.
They lost out.
They lost out, but like so, Michigan was right there with Illinois for me. I highly doubted those two teams, so I guess Michigan's surprising me.
Mr. Lane was right that Alabama's a Sweet 16 team, but no further. I guess he jinxed his own team. They're out.
He's gonna love that. Hopefully, he watches the whole thing.
I was like, Mr. Lane, dude, for the first time ever, I choose Alabama to win this dang thing.
I don't. I've always doubted Alabama. Yeah.
I thought they would win all the way because the way they played in the last 3 weeks, I said I think they would have.
Yeah, they were killing it,
Yes, they
especially
were-
towards the end
yes.
game. They were rolling, but damn, UCLA.
Michigan has been killing it.
Dude, Gonzaga.
I can't believe Pac-10. Who knew Pac-10 would still have some teams in the Elite Eight?
Right.
UCLA and Oregon State.
Yeah, that's so weird. And like
They're like the first ones to lose. And like ACC's always like a lot of teams in, but now they only have what? Who did they have? Florida State lost. Who else did they have? Was Florida State the last team?
Look who's left. Do you think Duke really had a COVID thing, and that's why they didn't join, or they didn't enter their March Madness? I think they didn't. I think they used COVID as a scapegoat because they knew that with the trash season that they had.
I don't know. They were playing well. I think they had a chance to do well in the tournament, and I think they had a chance to make the tournament.
You think so?
I think they did.
I love Duke.
But the way they played in the tournament, the way they were playing, I don't know why you just want to pull out. There's no reason why you want to pull out.
Yeah. See,
See,
yeah.
that's the thing. So a lot of people are probably just like you are going to question that same thing.
Same
Did they
decision.
really, yeah, did they really have COVID? But I don't know.
Yeah.
I
No,
mean,
I don't think so.
I mean, like, is it OSU Oral Roberts that got suspended too? Like they pulled out because of COVID, or
Yeah,
who
or
pulled out?
Roberts.
Yeah.
Hmm.
See, that's why like you're wondering,
But they hopped back in last minute, huh?
did they?
Oral Roberts? Yeah, yeah, dude. They literally lost like yesterday, I think. Yeah, they made it to the Sweet
Someone
16.
no, someone forfeited.
Well, Kentucky, weren't they another one?
I remember someone can forfeit it.
Oh,
Gonzaga, Michigan, dude, Oregon and USC are in the Sweet 16. There's Oregon, Oregon State, UCLA. The conference that loses out in the tournament, like 70% of the time,
uh-huh.
is still in it to Elite Eight.
That's crazy.
I don't know about Houston.
Nah,
Did Texas lose?
I don't know.
They're playing tonight, huh?
Yeah, they play. I think
Or
they
is
play
it?
last. They play like at 9.
But then I have Stanford. I hope Stanford takes it.
Damn. I think
Tara Vanderveer needs one more championship before she retires. Gino doesn't need any more.
Gino. UConn. Yeah, UConn's ridiculous. They just run over everybody.
They haven't been this year though.
Really.
They've had good games. They lost a couple games,
They
but
went undefeated. They had went
but
undefeated for like 5 years straight
yeah,
or something, right?
for this season, this tournament, they've been playing better.
Yeah.
But during the season, they were playing all sketchy.
Huh.
I don't know what happened, but they just turned it around because they have this little lefty girl. That's I don't know her name, but she's lefty,
Mm.
pretty pretty solid. But that freshman phenom thinks everybody thinks she's better than Deanna
Wow. I gotta check her out.
Taurasi. I said I don't think so. Taurasi wasn't a whole world of her own. I said,
Yeah.
but she won three national championships.
Uh-huh.
Maya Moore, three. Was it 3 or 4?
She was with UConn, right?
Yeah. Swin Cash, say Sue Bird.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's better than them. I don't know. But the only thing I'm looking forward to is the NCAA women's volleyball tournament. Should be starting up soon.
Really?
Everybody's playing their last rounds.
Uh,
So I really want to see. Like the first time ever my team Stanford doesn't make it also. Dude, like literally when the season started, they lost their first they took a bye on their first 2 weekends because of COVID.
uh-huh.
They played, they lost because half of the team was still quarantined and they were only playing a few girls, so they lost at U of A twice. So like they had this crappy season and they just played like the other day and yesterday and they only have like 7 girls I think dressed up out
Yeah.
of the whole 14 or whatever. So or 8 girls, I don't know how many girls they have dressed up, but they're like losing bad because of all this craziness. Like a lot of the girls were quarantined half of the year. I was
Damn.
like, where? Well, actually, it's California, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking, how is UCLA and USC still playing? They don't have COVID, and like you're over here saying COVID. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
that's just kind of like you said.
So yeah, I'm telling you, man.
Yeah,
I'm telling you.
like you said, it's just kind of wild. But I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
I really like it.
I think I'm gonna go for USC only because I think the last good bracket I have left has USC going deep. So I hope they upset Gonzaga. It'd be cool to
Because
see
that
it.
was the next team they
Yeah,
played.
that's who
They
they play.
win.
USC and Gonzaga play Tuesday. I think Tuesday. I hope they upset Gonzaga. Gonzaga just seems like unbeatable. They literally look unbeatable. Seeing them play today was amazing. I love the pick and roll. Pick and roll is so old school.
They play very
They play old school, man. They fight. They body. I love it. That
they
whole
play like flag high basketball boys side. They had this music teacher as a coach,
yeah.
just like that. Pick and roll, just really gutsy.
Uh-huh.
They play like that, flag high boys.
Yeah.
And
I
I was
love
like,
it.
why wasn't he our coach when I was going to school here? Because he was a music teacher when I went to school there.
Yeah. Wow.
And I was like, why wasn't he our coach? I guess I don't know how, but he became a boys coach, and he's been doing good. For,
Wow.
I don't know how many years now.
I love it, man. I think like before we left our dinner, seeing that highlight real quick, just pick and roll to Timmy.
I don't even know Gonzaga.
Yeah, dude got it. Head fake, like the old school, old
Mhm.
school, old school. Pick and roll, head fake. Dude went up, get the foul, and one.
Yep.
Dude, you cannot get more old school than that. But yeah. All right, Miles, thanks for giving me almost 3 hours, man, of your time. Um,
I don't know if that was worth it. I don't know if people watching it will actually get something out of it, but
well, I
yeah,
think
thank you.
the idea is, to just share stories. I love to hear people's stories.
I have a lot more.